And we are live. Hello, everybody, except for Moose, unfortunately, because...
No!
Oh, and he's back. It was a fucking
Nebula.
scam. It was a fucking scam.
We're all messed up in the timeline.
And we're all
people.
fixed. We're fixed. We're good.
Okay.
All right. So, hello, everybody. What's up, Moose?
He's back.
He's back. He's alive. He's awake.
Back and with a new background.
He is. Got all those oxygen molecules in the background. Yeah. So anyway, hello everybody. Happy Tuesday. We are at an earlier time frame today to ensure that we can end at a decent time for those of us who have things happening tomorrow. But yes, we are very excited to be here after a lovely 1 week break, and especially with no Beyond the Realms yesterday, making sure that we give you your daily, weekly dose of all things D&D. So, I don't believe we have any major news or anything, do we, Kev?
We got a giveaway going on.
We
right
do.
now.
We do have a major piece of news. Go ahead, Kevin. Giveaway master.
So our good friends at Talon and Claw, which is a Seattle-based. I wanted to say company, but they're not. They're kind of a company. Yeah, they're kind of a company. Seattle-based company of independent TTRPG accessory makers, dice makers. They're really, really awesome. They're like our American neighbors, and they're one of the first people online that we did giveaways with when we were kind of starting the channel. And they are in the midst of doing one of their first dice Kickstarters. And they're doing gemstone dice, which look really effing amazing. They showed me some of the photos of the stuff they're coming out with, and it's gorgeous.
Yeah,
gorgeous,
those rainbow
gorgeous.
ones look amazing.
Yeah, they're usually known, they're an Etsy-based business. They're usually known for making like stellar wooden DM screens. Me and some of my friends gave Jordy one of their DM screens.
It's right there.
As a gift when we were doing our first campaign. But they also make like amazing woodworked dice vaults and things of that nature. So we're doing a giveaway on our Instagram right now, giving away their canary wood dice vault that has this amazing dragon scale etched design on the front. It's really, really neat, and so they're going to give that away to one of our followers. You can hit up the Instagram page, see details for that, and we'll announce the winner on Beyond the Realms this Monday. And also the link to their Kickstarter is in most of our bio links, so if you want to check it out and support local dice makers, do that. It's for a good cause.
Yeah, and I can definitely attest to the fact that I got this DM screen like 2.5 years ago, and it's phenomenal. Like, I've used it every single live session that I've ever used since then. Nothing even stands close to it. So if it's any of the same quality, which we know that it is, because we know that their quality is off the charts, the Kickstarter is going to be awesome, and this prize is going to be freaking dope.
Yeah, and they just launched it, I think, on Monday, and they're already at like 44,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
Like,
They're doing well.
People want these dice.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. But with that out of the way, I don't believe anything else is on our docket. So let's go ahead and dive right in to tonight's episode of The Fey Lie. So, having investigated a series of tunnels below the city of Felderwin, believed to be used by a Rakshasa hiding within the city, the party was confronted with a series of devilish and demon-like entities upon entering into a more elaborately carved underground structure. A series of blood-stained tables and boxes filled with assorted equipment and pieces of clothing were inspected, before finding a series of locked doors in a room full of braziers of purple flame. A few tries and some singed eyebrows later, the party took the doors south and discovered a room with another long blood-stained table, though this one had a trio of silver bowls placed upon it. Searching the room, Nebula discovered a small drawer on the side containing a scratch pad journal of some kind. The journal outlined the travels of the owner through a series of cities, heading south across the Dwendalian Empire, and latest entry, detailing the city of Felderwind. In each, a pair of letters and a powerful entity within the Nine Hells are matched. The latest entry detailing Felderwind had 3 of the 5 lines filled in, with 2 remaining pairs of letters entered, but the entities within the Nine Hells remaining blank. So with the group now in possession of the journal and a door ahead of them, 2 locked doors behind, and the path they came from still open, What would you all like to do?
Who all has seen the journal so far?
You and Margot are the only two who can actually read it because that a good chunk of it was written in Infernal. But Nebula, you started off reading the journal, everything that was in common that you could get, which was the descriptions of the cities, and realizing that you were kind of heading south across the Empire.
So clearly someone's up to no good, possibly otherworldly no good. I think we're all on the same page, yes? Page 7 in the journal clearly states evil.
Evil.
Yeah, sure.
Fine print.
Because thank you very much for the translation. Demon Lords is not really on my favorite list of things to find written in a creepy journal on a blood-soaked table.
I think that we'd have a bit of a problem if it was Nebula.
I would like to hear the favorites someday.
I will regale you with that when this is not a problem. I've got a lot of favorites, actually, a lot of things. I like a lot of things. This is not one of them.
Okay.
Is this information are you saying like everything that's out in the journal to all of us?
Yeah, we read it out loud. I believe Margot did.
I did the last entry, yeah.
So after hearing this information about what exists in this journal and the potential demonic or devilish connection this may preside, it's gonna pipe up and say, I don't know if I'm alone in this necessarily, but we came to this town because of Jules and their uncle. And we came here to figure out these tests that you were supposed to be involved with, if I'm not mistaken.
The mission for my uncle is the test.
Right. And this test, have we done what is required of us at this point?
No, he wants us to figure out who has done these killings. He wants us to solve these murders and make sure that his operations are able to run as smoothly as he needs.
Seems very suspicious that these tests he needs you to accomplish require a lot of goodwill and deeds towards his problems.
It's how the family works.
I mean, he didn't at any point try to tell us that he was a good person by any means. And I don't think any of us were under the impression that he was. I think we...
Oh yeah, were y'all not there when we had our little shindig where we discussed that over a little rest earlier? Yeah, whole family is absolutely bonkers and horrible. I thought we had all been on the same page there.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. So I think that, like, I absolutely agree. I don't think there is a problem there then. As long as we know that and we get everything done for Jules here, we should be fine.
Want to make sure you're not being taken advantage of. I've seen it quite too many times in my life.
Oh, this is definitely taken advantage of. Like, we're literally putting our lives on the line for nothing more than don't take Jules away. Right? Am I reading this right, Jules? Am I reading this right?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. By the way, totally. That sucks. And, that's why we're here, though. So that doesn't happen. Doesn't mean it doesn't suck, though. Right?
It does suck pretty bad.
And this information we found would be very valuable to him in his current predicament, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Likely. Yes.
Would this information then be enough bargaining power to sever services to him?
No. We still don't know who killed these people.
But we're definitely connected to something here. And at the very least, we can find out where all this goes.
There's definitely more to this than meets the eye, at the very least.
Transformers.
Also, that would be me. Also, clearly, someone's upstairs.
Yes.
So,
And we can't get up there, so how do we try and, I guess, this door right here, and I'll point to the door in the same room that we're in with the blight table, the other door, that is probably my bet as to how to get up there. I think we need to either, I would say we need to get out of here for a little bit and try and make sense of these initials and these names. Maybe see if we can figure out the names of the other people who were abducted or disappeared, and see if they match. It can just confirm our suspicions, but also, yeah.
Jordy,
Yes.
you had said that there was another door on the wall in this room.
Yep. Yeah, if you look at roll 20, you'll see that you're standing pretty much right beside it.
Can I approach said
That's the
door?
one.
Yeah.
Can I check for traps just to be safe?
Sure. Make an investigation check.
Yeah, baby. Damn, we out here being cautious and shit.
After
I
those
love it.
fucking weird little bat things almost murdered everyone. All right, there we go.
Murked by fucking vampire demon.
Oh, nat one.
That one.
That's great.
Yeah, baby.
Um,
No carefulness.
It's a bit of a weird one. You look at it and you're like, it's pretty similar to the rest of the doors. Wooden make, iron bands running across it for stability. And you kind of instinctively are like, okay, I'm going to be really careful here. And you lean forward and you kind of realize that your armor just shifts just a little bit and you kind of bump into the door and just... Okay. And you take a step back. Nothing seems to
Seems
happen.
fine.
Yeah. You
Is it locked if I pull on it?
you haven't tried the handle. You can if you want.
All right.
You just bumped into it basically and kind of confirmed
Yeah.
that it's not trapped.
Yeah.
But definitely staying around the corner for that.
But I'll if there's a latch or anything,
Yeah,
I'll just.
there's just
give it
a
signal.
simple latch. You just lift it up and you just hear a fairly silent. There is a little bit of creaking as the wood and the hinges kind of open, but it and the door opens. No issues.
All right.
Telling me that door just opened. That's sus as hell, man.
Yeah. Huh?
I'll
I've never seen anything that sus
open-
before.
I'll open it up and see what's on this other side.
Alrighty. So getting past that initial little bit of resistance and that little squeak, the door swings easily, mostly silent. You start to take a bit of a look inside. The hallway is unlit, but you, with your dark vision, start to notice that the floor and walls have become even more smooth, more tightly packed. In previous rooms, the walls were bare, right? You saw little bits of dirt that were there and kind of just rough hewn walls and maybe being held up by nets and things. Whereas here, everything is quite smooth. And on the walls, you notice that there are carvings that begin to form on your left and on your right. Lines of symbols and characters are flowing.
Do I?
Oh no.
Do these seem recognizable at all to me?
You feel like the symbols themselves look familiar to something that you just saw.
Guys, I think I might have found something over here. Might want to bring that journal.
Better not be a gateway to hell.
I can't promise that it's not what's happening.
Fuck. Okay. Yeah, I'll
And I'll just
keep
kind
an
of
eye
call
out.
everyone to come down and check out these carvings.
Okay. All right. So you guys all start to make your way down. Recognizing it, you see that the the language pattern, the style of the symbols, and the way that they're written seem very similar to the infernal language that was written inside the book. So Margot and Jules being the two that would be able to translate if you wanted to.
Okay. I will read it to myself first before I read it out loud.
Okay.
Margot also will just kind of glance over it like precursively.
I don't know why. I thought you were going to be like, I read it and keep it to myself. I read it out loud.
I mean, it's fair.
Yeah.
I can't read it.
So you kind of take a bit of a peek around the corner and, you know, a bit of a careful step into the hallway. Nothing seems to happen. And you notice the scripture is familiar. It is definitely written in Infernal. You see lines of the symbols and characters that are flowing like script. The vertical slashes cutting each side in kind of equidistant sections, almost as if pages out of a book. And the first one reads on the left, "Let the darkness bring you word of my eternal devotion, for I have pledged my soul to you, my lords. Guide my flesh upon this mortal realm and lead me back to your warmth when it is time."
Saint was right.
I'm kind of looking
Yeah,
over.
I'll read it out loud
There.
after I finish it.
Okay. So that's the kind of the first section, first page on the left.
That's only the first part.
It's written quite large. It looks like it's been carefully carved with maybe a knife or an instrument of some kind. But you notice that it's not quite as sharp as what a knife would be. Definitely something used to carve it, but you're not quite sure.
Sacrificial knife.
That
Gee, I
doesn't
wonder
sound
what the
good.
second page said. Our invasion begins tomorrow. We're all gonna die. We're going home.
Jordy, looking at the carvings on the wall,
Yeah.
are there any signs of, dried blood? Maybe like leftover fingernails or anything like etched into the carving?
Yeah, on the walls, no. Very, very clean, very well done. On the floor, a couple of droplets of blood here and there. Looks like, make a nature check for me.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Love nature check.
Oh, nature check for the blood. Oh.
Oh, we're all going to die.
I don't like this Mickey Mouse.
12.
12. Yeah, the blood droplets are falling from a height. You can see that they're kind of like spattering a little bit, but you're not able to really see much more than that.
Les Paul, Dexter Blood Analyst.
You said falling from a height, and I thought that the ceiling was dripping in blood for like 2 seconds, and I nearly vomited.
I look up.
Just covered in bats.
Actually, I am going to look up. Do I see anything up on the ceiling?
No, you don't. You see that the ceiling is very similar to the walls. It's kind of more tightly packed here. It does have a little bit of netting just to make sure that nothing falls, but the walls are really the only distinguishing feature aside from the couple of droplets of blood on the ground here and there.
I'm going to go in a bit further into the room.
Okay. So you kind of step a little bit further into the hallway.
Hey, Corso, do you want to do it or should I?
Together!
After you, my good
Oh,
sir.
thank you kindly, sir. Geordie, I would like to cast Divine Sensing.
Divine Sense? All right, sounds good. You go ahead and use Divine Sense, and your eyes kind of glow a little bit, and you readjust and look into the hallway, and absolutely nothing pings.
The fuck?
Interesting.
Now I'm even more stressed.
Gotta get my Divine Sense one.
Jordy, can I stealth to that corner and just kind of like peek around, not give my full body to sight?
Yeah, make a stealth check.
Oh, all the checks for Les Paul. Better, finally. 17.
17? Okay. Yeah. You're able to make it up to the corner without any real issue and start to peek around a little bit, and you see that the hallway curves off to the right. But the script continues, kind of segmenting the wall into what would effectively be pages, as if they were written out of a book.
Very quietly, I'm just going to kind of whisper, guys,
Yeah.
the script keeps going.
Oh no.
Shit. Yeah, Jules will follow in and try and get a look at that.
All right.
We're all going to die.
So for the second section, the eternal hells are your refuge, your limbs outstretched to blanket all in flame. The enemies of the damned will be driven to their end, bound in chains forevermore.
Yeah, she'll read that out loud.
I think we're the enemies in this case. I don't like chains.
Not
Nebula's gonna because this is a dark hallway we can't see in, right?
Correct.
Cool. Yeah, Nebula doesn't fuck with that. Is gonna pull out a torch, but instead of lighting it normally, Nebula's gonna poke his head back into that other room where all those like flaming pyres are.
Yep.
And he's gonna dip a torch in one of those.
Okay. A little bit of the purple flame kind of comes onto it, but as it's removed from the flame, it stays purple for a couple of seconds and then turns back to a standard looking flame.
And he looks at that and he's like, noted. And just kind of like whispers to the pyre, like, you're not as useful as you look. And walks out.
All right. So a little bit of light, lighting the way, lest you come up around the next corner, and you're able to see a little bit further down and in. The script continues.
Jules will continue following the script, trying to like see if there's more.
Yeah. The third section, and you, my lords, are the shield, as I, your blade, walk the lands beyond your gaze. The light of your kindled flame lives within me, and shall burn the souls of those I deliver unto you. And at this point, you start to get the feeling, roll, I'll actually get everybody to roll a religion check for me at this point.
Oh, Pallies, come on, you got this.
Come on, Pally boys.
Come on. Somebody.
I actually got pretty good religious.
15 total.
15?
That is a natty one.
Natty 1? Okay.
6.
6?
Oh boy.
11 for me.
11?
That's a 17.
17?
Ooh, nice.
That's a 9.
9, okay. On a 15 or higher, so that's Galahad and Phelan. You two recognize these less as instructions and more of variants on prayers. So rather than these being something where they are spells of any kind or any kind of magical connotation, it's essentially a series of written prayers written into the walls.
Okay.
What?
Well,
What are these? This doesn't make any sense to me.
they're prayers, I think. It seems like this person is, I guess, a worshipper of the hells, of the demons and deities down there. I mean, this seems like it lines up perfectly with what we know so far. Somebody making sacrifices to someone they worship. But to what ends? Are they trying to summon them to ravage and burn our world, or I don't know.
Being a little bit ahead of the group, gonna check that corner again.
Okay. You kind of peek around the corner and you see that there is another door, kind of a little bit of a shorter end to the hallway, but the scripture does all end at this door. And the door itself is sealed, made of solid metal. The humanoid skull emblazoned in the center, 2 long horns curling out from behind the sides of the skull, and you notice a gap in the center where a nose would be.
Does it look like a tiefling skull?
Make a medicine check.
Medicine?
Yeah, medicine.
Oh, I don't like that phrase.
How good is your study of tiefling skulls?
I was gonna say, Nebula's right there. Can he make the same like?
Sure, you can make another medicine check as well.
Medicine.
You sounded more scared of the check than the answer.
That's 13.
8.
Hey, sorry, what was yours, Nebula?
13.
13?
Do I make one too?
It's kind of a 2-character thing in this case. But yeah, so with you two kind of taking a look, vaguely humanoid. It's not definitively one race or another. Looking at the structure of the skull, it's definitely not a human-style race. It's probably not human or tiefling. It's probably something that just would vaguely be humanoid. The eyes are a little bit off-center and sunken further in. It definitely looks more of a demonic or devilish background.
This is getting more curiouser and curiouser.
And it's missing something down the middle, you said?
Yeah, so it's kind of in the
Nose.
dead center where like a nose would be. There seems to just be a hollowed out area.
Can I investigate the area? Can I just roll a general investigation on this skull to look
Sure.
all up in it?
Go for it. Make an investigation check.
That is a 5 plus. I'm pretty sure it's a 6.
So 11.
11. It's a gap. That's about all you can really tell. There isn't anything about it that looks particularly out of place. It's a little deeper than you might expect. Like it goes into the door a little bit, but it doesn't look like anything particularly strange about it. Les?
Can I look at this door and I'm just I want to try and see if I can tell like how old the door is, like how long it's been here for, if it's freshly made, if this has been here for like years and years and years kind of thing.
Sure. Go ahead and make a general intelligence check.
Oh.
While he's doing that, Nebula just wants to look. Is there a handle on the door?
No.
Cool.
Perfectly clean. You don't see any hinges on either side. It's just a solid metal door.
Hey, that's good. 21.
21? Okay. The door is in impeccably good condition. This does not look like something that has been here and ravaged by the ages of time. The markings and the scratchings that were used to create the impression of that skull in the center of the door are flawless in every way. You have no idea how long this could have been here. This could be an ancient magical thing that's protected by something. It could be something that was installed 6 hours ago. There's no way of knowing. But whatever it is
100%.
far too clean for the area that it's in.
So I'm suspicious about how this thing is made. There's no
Nebula
audio
wants to
protection on it.
approach it. Something doesn't clearly seem right. You're right. Do you mind? And he kind of motions for Lisbal to maybe step aside from it, just in case.
Okay.
And Nebula takes his torch and sort of lets the flame touch the door and kind of moves it around the door and the skull, trying to see if the heat of this will char or leave like marks or anything on the door.
Okay. So you take the torch and press it up against the door. You see the flame kind of touching it and starting to lick up the top of it, and doesn't seem to be affected in any way. But you definitively are pressing against it. You're putting weight against it. Just doesn't seem to be affected by the heat.
Jules, this might be a strange question. Do you have any personal effects from your family or your uncle that might fit this gap?
Can I roll a something? I don't know what this roll would be.
I'll say combining your investigation check with Les's, there wouldn't really be anything that you could think that would fit this.
Okay.
The idea of something fitting in it is interesting, and that would actually make sense. But you have no idea what that is. You see, it's kind of a vaguely heptagonal shape, so 7-sided trapezoid, kind of flat at the top and then down to the side, and on from there. But whatever it is, it's definitely not something that you would have on you.
Can I, being spurred on by Les's statements here, can I roll a history check to see if Jules can remember any suspicious demonic shit within their family other than the fact that they are infernals?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll say roll history check at advantage with this, because obviously it's directly relating to your background.
That is a nat 20.
Nat 20, okay.
Hey!
Baby.
6
So
plus
26,
6.
okay. Relating to your background, relating to anything on the Fowler side, this is not familiar. As best you can tell, this is nothing to do with your family.
Okay.
Can roll that out at least.
Yeah. Jules just will shake her head. No. None of this seems to resemble anything that my family has done. My family is not good. Don't misconstrue my words, but not like this.
Is it possible that whatever this device or item is, the people in the journal might have it, or whoever wrote in this book?
That would make
Well,
sense.
it's possible, but one thing that I've learned is no matter the lock, the key had to have been made. Therefore, it is still a mechanism. And he'll look to Phelan. Do you think you
That's
could
right here.
give it an attempt? It's obviously not your common everyday thing, but if something fits here, perhaps we can mimic it.
A try is something I can do.
Considering the problems we've had with the other ones, though, we might want to back away.
Yes. What I'm gonna try and do is try and examine the lock itself, or the skull specifically, trying to see if there's any mechanisms behind it, or if this is a magical lock. Trying to figure that out there.
Okay.
And yeah, I don't have any. Damn it, I don't have it prepped. But yeah, that's all I'm gonna try and do.
Okay. All right, so you're kind of getting up close to the door. So I'll get you guys. What order are you looking at in the hallway? Because obviously, Phelan, you're going up front. Where's Nebula heading? Where's Jules and everybody else?
I'm going around the corner here just to be safe.
Okay.
To help give him, before I get around the corner, or honestly, perhaps this hallway in and of itself is not best we be here. Some might be better suited in the previous room. And with the light in my hand, the torch, I'm gonna lean in and get a real good look at the skull and like the entry point. And I'm going to turn, and I would like to cast Minor Illusion to mimic it in my hand, to try and give Phelan like a 3D look at what I can see. I know I can't see the back half of it, and I know I can't see, but I'm just trying to literally look back and forth and mimic what I can see to give him something to examine right up in his face.
Sure. Go and make a spellcasting ability check for me.
Cool. That is a 19 plus. My spellcasting ability modifier is a 4. So it's a 23.
23. Okay. You're able to quite accurately replicate what you can see of this assumed lock. Well, for sake of ease, we'll call it a lock. You've created a 3D version of it. Phelan, you're able to interact with that. It is an illusion. Your fingers can pass through it, and you can kind of see all of the details. It is perfectly smooth. It does come to a point at the end, as if something were to be put into it. There would be flush areas where it would sit effectively right at the end. If you could imagine like a 7-sided object that comes to a point at the end of it very abruptly, kind of like a sharpened point. So something
Also
would
like
definitely fit in
diamond
there.
or something, or gem?
Potentially gem of some kind, but it is long. You're looking probably about 3 to 4 inches long. It's not like some short little piece that is an equal size. So you do get the feeling that something would definitely fit in there, but what that is, you're not entirely sure.
Okay. Here's the thing. I think we can work on replicating this. However, with all of this talk of heaven, and I guess all of this infernal talk, I feel like this is probably needing a specific gem, and it could very well work with just, I guess, a rock that we can shape into whatever this looks like, something to fill this space. and we can try, but I feel like that's a little too easy.
Well, I mean, I agree with you on that end, but that would assume that you got past the dogs and the rock wall and the fire and the little flying monsters. So I'm not opposed to the thought of that being the difficulty in this journey. But then again, you could be right. And to invert what I'm doing, because I'm showing him the skull with the hole, Nebula would like to try and invert that and stop showing the skull and only show the shape of that gap that he's showing, so that they have an idea of what the object per like deleting the skull might actually look like.
Okay. We'll say with that spellcasting ability check being as high as it was, you're able to do that without any real issue. Anybody who's looking at this, you get a pretty good idea that you would most likely be looking for something, you don't know what, about 3 to 4 inches long at least, because that would make it flush with where it lies with the rest of the door. 7-sided, very, very straight going in. It doesn't seem to have any jagged edges or anything like a traditional lock would, where you have to hit different tumblers, with the exception of at the end it is not flat. It is kind of a diagonal, as if a tip of a diamond or something like that. You can kind of imagine that, the bottom side of a diamond.
There are 7 levels to hell, right?
9.
9.
No. I was trying to get my cork board out. I was like, it's all connected, but it's fine.
It counts if you don't count 2 of the levels.
Perfect. I knew it all along.
It counts if you don't count level 1, which is limbo for people who don't.
No.
Take 9, subtract 2, it's 7, it all fits.
Yeah.
If you take Dante's Inferno levels of hell.
Yeah. Does anybody here know how to shape stone or work with, I guess, had any masonry practice by chance?
I don't know. I'm guessing whoever took all the time to make all of this, whatever, probably would think not to make a lock that someone could just make another stone for.
Well, I mean, yes, but like Nebula said, I don't think that we're losing much by just trying it. Just to see what kind of mechanism this is, I guess, and see what we are looking for, just so we're better suited for when we find it, and not leave it on the dead body of whoever we kill, which is kind of on track for us. We need to stop killing people.
They deserve it.
No!
On our way.
Swear to God. Okay, when we're not about to go to hell, we'll talk about this.
I, for one, don't have any of those abilities. I read a lot of books, didn't do a lot of hands-on work.
Then I can give it a shot on my own, and I'll try and find. I'll walk back to the more rugged parts of the room, so the earlier room. Try and find me a rock on the ground. If not, I'll take a knife out and try and pry a piece of the wall off and try and whittle that down to look like what Nebula has shown me.
Sure. Loose rocks are not hard to find. With the exception of this hallway, they're all over the floor, they're on the walls. You can easily find one that you would be able to kind of chip away at and make roughly the same size.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Here goes nothing. Most likely something very dangerous, and I'll go ahead and put it into the nose.
We're gonna back up out of the room.
Okay.
Yeah. When he gets to that point, Nebula would be heading towards the at least around the corner, and suggest that some actually make it all the way out of the hallway.
Kevin's already moved less out of the hallway completely.
Actually, I will stay closer by because I still have I have one of my psionic die left, and I can at least try to shield you some damage if something happens.
Sure.
No, I will also be shielding the rest of the party.
Actually, I need to see you do that.
Mm-hmm. You'd
Well,
have
if
to
that's
be
the case, then
right
Nebula will
over
go
there
all the way
to be able
out
to see
because
that.
he trusts less to do his thing. So Nebula's going to take a step all the way out of the room.
So Nebula's heading out of the hallway. Phelan, you're going to be adjacent to the door. Galahad, do you want to be directly beside him or off to the side by one?
I'll be just off to the side by one there.
Okay. Margot, what about you?
I will use Galahad as my meat shield and be close to Galahad.
Okay, and then Les, you're a little bit behind, and then Jules, you're back down the hallway.
Well, I gotta be able to see him to do it, so I have to be right behind him.
You would be able to be where you were. You've got
Yeah.
dark vision, so you can kind of see past everyone. You'd be able
Okay.
to see the back of him there. Okay. So, whittling it as best you can, kind of chipping away using a couple of rocks and daggers and kind of cutting into the stone. Go ahead and make a... God, what would this even be? Let's say this is a dexterity check with your proficiency. Because you've got Thieves' Tools, you've got the ability to do that.
Cool. So that'll be a +6 for my roll.
Nice.
And the roll is a 14, so on that 20, baby.
All right, dirty 20. Good to know. Okay, so you're able to carve something that is a fairly similar likeness, with Nebula allowing you to have that 3D representation of it. You could actually see for the first little bit and be able to carve it into, and kind of like, you know, the awkward air fitted into the hole that doesn't move or have any resistance, but you feel like it would fit. Everybody else kind of clears out of the way. You've got a little bit of a couple of people stationed behind you. You take the rock and start to slide it into there, and you feel it press in against the back. And as you feel it press in against the back, put a little bit of pressure on it, try to like wiggle it a little bit. I need...
Here it comes.
I need...
Brace yourselves!
Phelan to make a wisdom saving throw. You do have the bonus here from Galahad being nearby.
Okay.
The what now?
What does that mean?
Don't you have your aura that gives you...
That's like level 5 or 6, isn't it?
Oh, never mind. I thought you had that already.
God damn it!
Sorry,
no,
my bad.
sorry.
So, okay, so just a wisdom saving throw then, Phelan.
I have a +0 for 5.
For 5. Okay.
Buddy.
Your brow kind of furrows. Your brow kind of furrows a little bit, and you just kind of... You just get a little bit confused. What are everybody except Jules and Nebula's current hit points? We'll start with Phelan. What are your current hit points?
15?
Okay. Margot?
20.
You're trying
Galahad?
to not TPK us right now.
49.
49. Les?
40.
40.
What the fuck?
Okay.
Roll 30 d20.
I need to roll a lot of dice.
Oh, shit.
I have to roll 17 d8s. 18.
I'm gonna be out anyways. There's no way.
28.
Oh no, I could be dead.
47. 47.
Wait, what's my total to be dead?
It's got to be whatever takes you to 0 plus your max.
Yeah, it's 15 plus 27 for a... Oh, 42. I should be fine.
You say that now.
Buddy, 17 d8.
70. Okay, so... Okay.
Please roll a hell of... Oh, shit.
Phelan, as you start to feel this little bit of confusion, you kind of shake your head a little bit. Your eyes just grow incredibly heavy.
Ah.
And you just boom, slump forward onto the door and boom, hit the ground. Margot, you directly after, boom, boom, fall and hit the ground. Les, boom, boom, you fall and hit the ground. All three of you falling where you stand unconscious. Galahad,
None of you are Fey touched to where you don't fall asleep magically, right?
Are any of you immune to charm effects? I don't believe.
Nah.
Because nobody in the party's an elf.
Yeah, I
Galahad, you
figured.
are the one remaining standing as your three allies around you just simultaneously hit the ground and just crumple and into the most awkward positions, unconscious around you.
I've got like the head down and the butt like way up, just like hands.
The downward dog yoga pose, but you're asleep.
Yes.
Head down, ass up. Let's go. Oh, God.
Holy shit. Well, the first thing I do is check for life signs in a fucking panic. You know what happened?
Are we able to hear the thumps of our friends?
You would hear Galahad kind of go, and
Yeah.
Everything all right in there?
You hear a
Jules
No,
will
I-
tentatively stick her head around the
I
corner.
would like some help, please.
Shit.
What
And
happened? And
she'll
I'm gonna
head this
stay
way.
at the doorway and call that out.
Can I just check someone for a pulse? For life sign?
Yeah, they are unconscious. They have a pulse. They're breathing. You hear little faint snores coming from Les.
sleep spell.
They're all
I roll an Arcana check in
unconscious.
order
I
to
think they're asleep.
figure this out.
As a warlock, you don't even need to. You know the
Yep.
the sleep spell. You know that creatures can be awoken from a sleep spell by either using an action to wake them, by inflicting damage upon them, something along that lines.
Yeah, I'll just kind of shake them awake. Attempt to do that.
Okay. So one by one, kind of just shaking everybody awake, and all of you just come to consciousness, and it takes a couple of seconds to get your bearings about you and kind of sit up and how did I get on the floor? But all of you come back to consciousness without any real issue.
And we get the benefits of a short rest.
Yeah.
The 15 seconds that you're unconscious. Short rest.
One ability comes back.
As I wake up, I'll turn around and that we are in over our heads. We are in over our heads. I think if you stack all of us up together, you will find that we are still in over our heads. This is bad. This is very, very bad. We need to go back right now, regroup, maybe head back to town, into Fedowin, and maybe go back to the mansion. I don't know.
May I propose that we possibly... We're assuming that someone is in the room above the central room, correct?
Based on the
That
fact that
kind of-
Les used the imaginary force to try and shove the door, what you would imagine
It's
is a
not
trapdoor.
imaginary, it's real.
But
I
yeah,
didn't just go like, oh, I'm doing stuff.
no, but you used your.
I hear something. I just want to be a part of the party, everybody.
All right,
I
you
don't
used
actually
your.
have powers.
You used your Jedi Force powers to shove the door. You heard the sound of the door being shoved, and then fairly soon after, the sound of something scraping against the ground. You would imagine that there is likely something up there. You don't know what, but
It could just be something blocking the way.
It could be, but perhaps we could attempt a stakeout of sorts in order to see if the entity is sentient that is up there, if they leave.
Okay, let me put this in a way that feels more akin to how I feel right now. I think if we try any harder, we will all die. There will be no survivors. There will be no way out. There will be nobody to bring us back.
Could have been a
Okay.
lot worse.
It certainly could have. I think you're right. Let's just get out of here.
G, can
Yes.
I want to attempt to try to kind of mentally make a note of just like sort of where we are underground as opposed to above ground, to try to see if I can just sort of map a certain amount of distance from here as we go out, to be like, okay, we were here, now we're here, so that trapdoor must be like this direction.
Sure. I'll say you can make a survival check as
Yeah.
you're leaving and following the path to try and figure out roughly how many feet it would be. It's not going to be accurate like to the building, but you might get within like 2 or 3 blocks of where you were.
Like even if it points me in a certain direction.
Well, okay, so sorry. Just as a reminder, you kind of already did this based on what you guys,
Yeah.
where you guys exited, went back into the tunnels, how far you traveled. You know you're roughly near the center of town.
Right.
Yeah, because you had traveled underground, you'd have traveled pretty far east, you'd gone a little bit south, and then you cut north into this area, and then you went a little, kind of did like a little circle, west, north, east,
Okay.
Jules
south.
has already rolled
Okay.
Yeah.
for roughly what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
But could Jules assist Les as we leave, because I think that will also be on her mind in order to pinpoint where we're located.
Sure. So we'll say both of you are able to make a survival check as you kind of start to make your way back. So just to clarify, you're leaving back the way you came?
That's up to you guys. I'm pretty done here.
Yeah, I'm taking like the same way out. I'm walking as fast as I can out of these cursed tunnels.
It's roughly nighttime, we could assume, right?
Given how long you've been down here, how long you staked everything out, the battles, looking around, you would imagine it's probably 8:30, 9 o'clock, somewhere in that realm.
Let's just make our way back to the manor, take a rest, try again tomorrow.
Okay.
What do you guys think?
All right, so a couple of clarifications. Obviously, you're leaving the door that you couldn't open. What is it you're doing as you're leaving, if anything? Or are you just literally walking through the open doors and going?
I think cautiously kind of looking, I would anyway be looking around corners, just making sure that there's no new entities that have come into this space.
Sorry, I don't mean that. I mean clarification, like, are you closing doors behind you? Are you re-locking the
doors?
Cleaning
up? Are we making it look like...
Those kind of things. Are you, like, making it known that something was here? What are you guys doing?
Nope. I mean, if it were me, I'd just put everything back the way it was.
Okay.
I think that there's as Les goes to, like, move the stuff around, Jules will probably go, there's probably already plenty of evidence here, even if we go about cleaning everything up and putting everything away. The fact alone that the bats were attacked and are gone now, and the fact that we're taking this deck of cards and the journal and everything else, someone's already going to know that we were here. So let's not waste our time and energy, and let's just get going.
All right, just try to be polite, but fine, aren't you?
Ah, yes, polite to the demonic worshipper, yeah. How thoughtful.
You're one to talk.
So
so Nebula
Acid.
would follow along and leave.
Just say that under my breath.
So start to close the doors as you guys start to make your way back into the main chamber with all of the lit braziers. Close the door there. Are you going to try to relock the doors or just leave them closed?
I think she made a very valid point.
They're already gonna know we're here. Like,
yeah.
They already know we know.
Yeah, they know.
Fair enough. Okay. So doors being closed behind you, going back into the room with all the tables and everything. Galahad?
Just in case, I'm also going to rebury. I don't know. Just cover the ground of where we found those daggers.
Oh, okay.
Because we dug that up.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna.
Yeah, that's an easy one. It was essentially just a little trap door, and you just kind of cover it over again. No real issues with that. But yeah, making your way back and closing all the doors as you go, and moving past some of the blackened marks on the ground where little bits of viscera remain from the creatures that you had slain. Eventually heading back further south, back down into the tunnel. You do get a little bit of a ways in. Who is leading the expedition out? Who's in front? Phelan?
Nice.
Okay. So Phelan, you are heading out. Make a perception check for me. Because you've got dark vision, right? As a bugbear?
Yes.
Yeah, so make a perception check for me.
Bugbear. Bugbear who loves bubble bias.
I hate these tunnels. Unnatural 20.
All right, 30-20. As you're rounding one of the corners, you start to hear a faint little chittering sound of a single solitary bat. And you immediately recognize the sound of that. And it, funnily enough, is just on the singular path that you guys are following out. It seems to have just kind of roosted up above. Go ahead and just make an attack roll for me at advantage, because you guys are not exactly being loud or anything.
Fuck it up! Yeah, baby! Okay, cool.
Do we all get a surprise round on this one bat to demolish it?
Pretty much.
We're about to go office space on this bat right now.
Alright, That's a 13 plus
Same
6
roll.
for a 19 to hit.
19, more than enough with sneak attack as well because you're at advantage. So
Oh,
with this, the one solitary bat that Nebula had forced to flee from everybody seemed to have made its way into one of the tunnels, and with the direction that you guys were following, I rolled to determine which tunnels it went down, and it was directly in your path. So you were able to spot it, snipe it at a distance, and then it just and then burns to ash on the ground as you go in and pick up your bolt again.
Good fucking rib.
Also, just as a thing, because I don't think I'd said it before, but I'd like to spend a second real quick and summon back both daggers, make sure that they're both on me as I walk away. The daggers of Aeon.
Yeah, so you're kind of like making your way down the hallway, and you're just like looking over your shoulder, and you just and then both of the two daggers reappear in your hands, and you just click the blades together and then sheath them again.
Nice.
Oh, that's so cool.
Also, just to clarify, because we talked about this before, did you give the Shaman's Claw to Margot yet? Or is that something? No. Okay.
I would say not just yet.
Okay.
I'd try and give it to her probably like sometime tonight or
Nope, that's
like
fair.
after we
Yeah,
rest.
it was just something we'd chatted about, so I just wasn't sure. So we'll give that a little bit of time. Okay. So
But we haven't maxed out your attunement slots yet. What's going on there? We gotta get all 3.
So, as you guys push your way back out through the tunnels, following back to the path that you came, did you want to leave the tunnels by that side entrance that you knew was pretty close to where the manor was?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so
Right.
not bothering to go all the way back out to the fields.
No.
Okay.
It's a waste of time.
All
Waste
right.
of time and energy.
So, Jules and Les will get you guys to go and make survival checks for me again.
That is a 16 plus 2, 18.
18. Okay.
I got 18 as well.
18 as well. Okay. You feel pretty confident. The area that you were is under the central area of town. You guys haven't spent a lot of time in the city itself, so you're not exactly sure what would be around there. But, you know, you could maybe get it within 100 feet or so of where you think it would be.
Okay.
All right. So following the tunnels along, heading a little bit further west, you eventually find that hatch that you guys had used to step out, and lifting it up again, Galad, with your height and a little bit of assistance, the hatch is lifted without any issue, and you step out into the little shrub tree green area that's kind of on the western side of town, good 200, 300 feet or so away from where the entrance to the manor is. And everybody files out one by one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're gonna make us roll?
No, I'm not going to make you roll for
Thank
this
you.
one. Yeah, this isn't something where we're trying to
damn
fill
thing.
time. No, you guys
I
are
would
able
like
to get
like,
out.
See if there's anybody watching as we come out, or if there's anyone around to like notice our departure.
Yeah, absolutely. Make a perception check.
Yeah, baby. Much less good. 13.
13. Okay. Still pretty decent. With your night vision looking out, it is definitely darker at this point. The moon has started to come out. The evening sun is completely faded. Torches are pretty easy to spot in the dark. Most of the people living in the city need them, so it's not hard for you to notice and see, you know, the occasional barker just taking the last little bit of bread and fruit back into their home for the evening. A couple of horse-drawn carriages being pulled by. Crown's Guard walking by, making sure that you guys don't get spotted by anybody seemingly crawling out of nowhere. But all of you managed to exit out without any real issue.
Okay. Before we go anywhere else, Jules is gonna kind of pace around back and forth for a second as everyone's climbing out of the hole and say, one thing that's bothering me that we haven't mentioned, we got a bit sidetracked down below underground, is the initials that are here in the book. And she kind of will take the book out and kind of point to them, and she'll read them back out the way that they're written. And she's like, HC to Mistress Fariana, DW to Lord, how do I say that? Belial, NH not marked, DP Lady Glacia, and FB. FB's been really driving me a little crazy. Fialtes, what was his last name?
Blade Vein.
Blade Vein.
Well, that
Now
matches
y'all
up with
know.
our initials, FB. Do we know the names of those who were murdered?
Not off the top of my head, at least.
Darius.
Darius. Who was Darius?
DP.
Was Darius the field hand that was taken?
Yes. That's his farm where our homemade leaf blower found the hatch.
I know we said we were going to go back to the manor to rest, but I don't think it's wise for us to leave Fealties undefendable where he's at. If he's in fact the initials FB marked on the list, I think it would be a grave misstep for us to leave him unattended.
He was the one who gave us the clue. He was the one who gave us the clues. I feel like it's only right that we go and find him again.
I'm just looking forward to telling your uncle we're having a sleepover. I'm super on board for this.
Do we know where he's located?
Say that again, Les.
Do we know where he's located currently?
I assume either at the tavern again or at his home. His home.
We are in agreement the best defensible place is the mansion, right?
Yes, we are in agreement that the best defensible place is the mansion, Nebula, yes.
Excellent. So, we should probably split up to try and acquire him.
Acquire it. What do you mean by that?
Acquire him.
Fealties.
Why would we split?
What time of day is it?
At this point, with the amount of time you've come out, it's closing in 9 o'clock, 9:30.
In the evening?
In the evening, yeah.
Because it's starting to get dark out, and that's sort of when things get weird. Figure we should get him and recuperate post-haste. If we'd rather not, we can kind of do this in a line. We can give that a shot.
Sorry, I'm having a bit of a challenging time myself figuring out what exactly Nebula is saying.
Nebula is saying it's getting dark, and if we want to find this dude, we could send someone to the bar and someone to his house because, as you pointed out, we aren't sure where he's at.
Got it. Okay, cool.
Yeah. And then get him and bring him back to the Fowler Manor.
We could also just take a minute to kind of catch up breath, take a minute, and then go do this as well.
If the entity
then go do it.
if the demonic worshipper knows that someone entered their lair, so to say, then their timeline theoretically would be increased even more than it already has been increased, and I don't think that we should waste time in this. If we need a rest, I'm not going to push anyone past their limit, of course. If we need a rest, we can take a rest, but
I think
just want to be prepared if something goes down, you know.
I can
think
understand.
a rest is helpful, but I think that also that if we stay to the public places, I think we'll be fine. Specifically, that I would rather be there in time than come back and find Fealties dead.
All right.
Agreed.
That's what you think is best.
Who's going where then, I guess, is our next thing. I'd like to go to the bar. I've made some rapport there, so that might be...
That's where I had a good conversation with him to begin with, so...
You two, there's an equal amount of us. Send 3 to the boss, 3 to the house.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we should send Margot to the house. She made a good connection with him. If we send Nebula and Margot, who both connected with him the most, separate directions, it's most likely that we'll be able to get him to come with us.
So I'll accompany someone to the house then.
I'll go with Margot and you. Phelan, are you okay? Or who am I forgetting?
Galahad.
Galahad. Sorry, my brain just died.
How
in
can
three
you
different-
forget the
It-
soft metal base?
My brain did the Windows reboot.
The clap
One of
of the
the biggest
cheeks.
guys, he's just like, nah, he doesn't exist.
Nah. Galahad, are you all right with headed to the bar?
Sure.
All right, sounds like a plan then.
But the party never fails.
Never fails.
All right. So, people heading to the bar. Nebula, Phelan, Galahad.
Yes.
Okay. So, who would you guys like to start with? The bar or the house?
Rocks, paper, scissors.
All right, we'll start with Galahad. We'll start with the people heading to the bar. So, with the three of you heading over to the bar, the house is a little bit further along anyway, so you guys will be able to get into the bar and kind of determine if he's there or not. So, making your way down out along out in the evening sun, into the evening air, all of the moonlight coming down. You see that the vast majority of the farms are dead silent at the moment. Little bits of fields here and there, a couple of Crown's Guard and a few of the Righteous Brand soldiers that are dotted around the landscape, but overall, pretty quiet night, sitting on their haunches, a couple of them seeming to gather in small groups and chat a little bit over a couple of drinks. And you push your way out into the evening and eventually come upon the bar. And the tavern is quite busy. You see a very similar crowd to what you'd seen before. A lot of Dragonborn, a lot of halflings, quite a few patrons, drinks being slashed around, bartender calling out drink orders, and waitresses and waiters running drinks between the tables. Taking a step inside, you guys are able to take a look around, and you see the same card game, a couple of different players, but one red Dragonborn Phelan that you recognize as familiar in comparison to the couple of nights before, when everybody was a little bit different. He seems to be the
I'm
one.
gonna turn to my friends and say, I'm gonna run to the restroom real quick, and then maybe see if like any of the people I connected with last time have any information.
There's a room where you can get long rests.
Well, I didn't want to say the shitter, but yes.
Switch back to Saint's voice.
Damn it. I'll head back there.
Okay.
Once I do, however,
Yes.
are there any windows in the bathroom?
The bathroom is an outhouse. It's outdoors. So the other two are inside. You're already able to be outside and inside the outhouse with no real issue.
The bathroom.
Oh, perfect.
Max.
As I head out to the outhouse, I'm gonna slip off into the night then.
Okay. So, slipping off into the night. Phelan, what is it you're doing?
I'm gonna go find Watchmaster Tobias Peterson.
Okay. How are you going to go about doing that?
I'm gonna pull my hood up and try and stick to the shadows, make sure that nobody sees me,
Okay.
and try and find where the headquarters for the Watchmaster would be.
Okay. Go ahead and make a stealth check for me.
Okay.
You what?
That's
you
the
doing,
13 plus
buddy?
8. That's
21.
21, baby.
Okay. 21. Silently. You know that you cannot be seen. You begin to make your way very rapidly back towards the city. Starting to look around a little bit. You think of a couple of possible places where you might be. Make an investigation check for me.
Okay. That's a... I hate this. 16 plus 5 for a 21.
21. Okay.
I hate these Phelan dice right now.
Okay.
Okay.
You make your way back, and you would think Watchmaster, local government of some kind, government building. Okay, let's go to the Storos's villa and see if anybody's there. And it's definitely night at this point. But as you're closing in on the building, you can see that there are still quite a few Crown's Guard that are outside. It's a building that you are able to gain access to pretty easily, and people are still flowing in and out through open doors. It's not something that is very secretive or hush-hush, and you are able to slip inside. And you see a couple of different offices. Go to my area here. Okay. So you come upon the large villa that you had passed several times previously. Hanging above a pair of large double doors is the square iron crest, depicting a bundle of wheat tied off by sturdy ropes, with a pair of horses rearing up, front legs and hooves raised on either side. A pair of Crown's Guard and accompanying Righteous Brand soldiers are stationed outside, spears and bows resting against the building, a couple of citizens passing through the doors unimpeded. Stepping in, the main hall is simple. Long tables set with oil lamps on wood floors, 3 visible doors, one on each side and another at the far end of the room. Nobody really passing in and out through any of the doors except for the one at the far end of the room, but you start to take a little bit of a peek around and you see that each of the doors are labeled, and the door that's on the left specifically is labeled for Watchmaster Tobias Pedersen.
I'm gonna go ahead and open that door without really knocking and seeing if he's inside, and walking in and closing the door behind me.
Okay. So, door opens easily. You take a look inside, and you get your first look at the Watchmaster. You see a human man in his late 30s. Auburn hair carefully pulled back into a knot, sprinkled with just the right amount of gray. A goatee to match, weathered skin but not rough, and a chiseled jawline. His beard accentuates even further. The only blemish is a rather large, long-heeled scar that runs from the right side of his nose just below his eye, across his cheek, and down to just below his ear. He's dressed in simple, properly fitted clothes, a heavy brown jacket with white fur around the collar. The room, it's larger than some of the ones you've seen, desk and floor having piles of documents, military insignias and seals, and then a few weapons stored on display resting on pegs set into the walls. And close the door behind you, and you see the figure kind of turn around and look at you and just, "Hello, can I help you?"
I was just downstairs in the tunnels. I was with my party, a Dragonborn, Heathling, a Changeling, Warforged, and we had, oh no, I forgot what less is. A Mareman? Fuck, that's not the right word. And a Triton.
Damn it.
And a Triton.
You'll never identify me.
We went through some, I guess, little demon bats and a room filled with fire to find a hallway inscribed with demon chantings and tables filled with blood.
And as you finish the description of that, the words just jumbling out of your mouth as fast as you can even think them. Everything is just coming to the lip, to the edge of your tongue and the tips of your lips, and you just kind of finish the last couple of sentences and the last few syllables, and then you feel just a weight get lifted off of your shoulders and off of your mind. And then you look at this figure across the room who is looking at you very intently, eyes furrowing.
How long has he been gone for us in the bar?
So, given
Nebula doesn't play that shit.
Yeah. So, given that Phelan is a rogue, bonus action to dash, moving full speed per the spell that was cast upon him, to find this individual, he would have been gone for the better part of maybe 15 minutes. So,
oh, that's too long for the bathroom.
Yeah, so 5 minutes on average for the bathroom. We're going to come back to you guys in a sec.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Can I ask one question really quickly?
Sure.
Is Phelan doing this of his own volition?
We don't know.
We don't know.
Okay.
Phelan,
Okay.
Phelan, are you doing this of your own volition?
I was compelled to do so I would say yes.
Motherfucker.
So, as you finish rambling this description out, the figure in front of you, eyes narrowing,
Run.
takes a look at you and, with incredible agility, leaps across the desk, barricades itself against the door, and looks back at you.
Oh God, I'm not going down without a fight. I'm
Out the window.
I'm look at him and say,
We go down there.
I've told you what you need,
Together.
so you let me out now, and I guess I don't have to, and I'll throw up my knife into the air and summon it back into my hand and say, I won't have to use these.
And you can see that The gaze is calculating. Rapidly thinking, looking at you, looking at the armor that you wear, looking at the weapons that you carry, looking at the room, the window on the opposite side, currently half ajar. This is very interesting information that you provided to me. What exactly do you believe is down there? And you can see that he steps away from the door at this point.
I believe it's none of my business, and there's some comfortable beds waiting for me to take some sleep.
Beds for your allies, I assume, as well.
Yes. Yes.
And what of this book?
What about it?
Did you read it?
I can barely read my name. No.
Make a deception check.
Fucking bullshit.
But did he even read it though?
Technically, he didn't read it.
Technically.
Yeah, baby.
My
15
English
plus
teacher
5.
doesn't count audiobooks as reading, therefore he didn't read it.
Another on that 20. I'm gonna need to like just get a dice cam.
Dirty 20. Okay. You can see that the figure's gaze has relented a little bit. That initial kind of ferocity and not fear, but flashes of anger have subsided very quickly. And kind of coming back and making a step around the table. Good. Well, this demonic, devilish entity that you describe, what is it exactly, do you know?
Are you talking about the bats? Because that's the only thing that we found it down there. Or I mean, I guess the hounds.
Hounds. Thank you for bringing this to the attention of our military and our guards. I, with your permission, would like to find the entrance to these tunnels. Where was it that you said you entered into them?
Okay, so for my reference, there were 2 entrances, right, that we knew of?
Correct. There's one that's really far out, hidden in the fields of one of the farm, Darius's farm. And then the other one was on the western side of town, and you know where that one is because you've kind of used it a couple of times now.
Yeah, there's the entrance is closer to the western end of the fields, if you will.
Right. Okay. I appreciate this information. Yes, of course. I apologize if I had scared you at all. It is not often that a threat like this comes running into my door and explains itself to me without me knowing about it ahead of time.
It's hard to put a scare in me. I would say more startled.
Startled is a good way of putting it. I apologize. My name is Watchmaster Tobias Pettis, and then he puts out his hand to shake yours.
Phelan. I'm not gonna shake his hand though. I'm just gonna take a step out.
Phelan.
Yes.
Have a pleasant evening. Stay safe.
Yeah. Fuck me.
What a fucking narc.
I didn't.
That's why he wanted us to leave down there immediately. Mother.
So,
I hate it here.
kind of closing the door behind you, you see that the eyes are narrowing from this individual on the other side of the door as the door closes, and you find yourself in the center of the Starosta's villa. A couple of citizens around, people just going about their days. No issues at all. Not a care in the world except for the farms, making sure that they hit the targets that are met upon them. And at this point, Nebula, unless you guys at least a good 5-10 minutes ago would have made your way out of the bar. And
I'm not at the bar, I'm at the house.
Oh, sorry, Galahad and Nebula, I should say. You two would have made your way out of the bar, wondering what was going on, why Phelan wasn't there, and seen that he is gone. And that's going to be where we come back from our break. So, we're going to take a quick little break here.
It's break time!
Yeah, we've been going for almost an hour and a half already. Yeah.
Okay.
We're going to break a little early today because then we're going to come back to it and just keep going right after we come back from break. So we will see you guys back here very soon, probably 10, maybe 15 minutes or so while we get a little bit of drink, a little bit of dinner, and yeah, we'll see where things end up going from here. So we'll talk to you guys soon.
You'll be the doom of us all!
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And we are back. Thank you, everybody, for sticking with us through our break. I hope you enjoyed that lovely artwork, courtesy of all of our fantastic people who have donated stuff to the stream, and the amazing Haley, who has done, I think, like 7 of those pieces that were put up on that, which is fantastic.
Real good. Really gives us an insight to who you are as an artist and as a person.
Look, it's just.
The rib nibbler. But anyway. So.
Come on!
So, with that, diving right back into our story. With Phelan having explained exactly what had transpired below the city to Watchmaster Tobias Pedersen, leaving the room feeling
Don't say it like that.
a bit worse for wear, mentally and physically, as the trials of the day having caught up. Nebula and Galahad having left the bar to determine exactly what happened to Phelan, who said that he was just heading off to use the outhouse. But 5 minutes passed, 6, and they eventually stepped outside and saw the door to the outhouse ajar and no Phelan in sight. So, we'll start off with you two. What is it you would like to do?
First things first, Nebula's gonna look around and like see if he can spot Phelan at all, and you know, because Phelan said he's going to the bathroom, he was going to come right back and dive into having this conversation. And
yeah, taking a look around, absolutely no sign. Night is dark, moon is up, and you're able to get a little bit of enough light to be able to at least see a little bit, but you know, the city is off far in the distance, and you don't see anything of any trace of Phelan.
why would he have gone to the bathroom if we passed that on the way in?
Maybe he just forgot. You know how when you walk into a room and...
Yeah.
I mean, that conversation doesn't really work because I don't ever do that.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you know that?
I have no idea.
I have long observed.
Where do you think he went?
I'm not sure. Do you think we should look around for Blade Vein while we wait, or should we look for Phelan?
We didn't see him in there, did we? We saw a red dragonborn that looked familiar, but was that saying that was Blade Vein playing cards, or just someone who played cards before?
No, that was an individual who played cards before. So you know, having talked to Phelan and discussed what exactly transpired, that was a another dragonborn whose name I'm trying to remember. I believe it was Drakir. or Drasir, who was one of the other Dragonborn that were in there the last time. So the individual looks familiar. You've seen them before, but looking around the bar, you guys were in there for a couple of minutes, taking a look to see if Yalties was even in there. Didn't appear to be there for the evening.
I'm afraid perhaps this timetable got moved up even quicker.
I think you might be right.
What is Phelan's last name?
Rourke.
Are you certain?
Yeah. He's telling me right now on video.
I never do understand you, Warforge. Then perhaps someone noticed us. There is a possibility he went about on his own volition, but to tell us one thing and simply slip away after this time. We did literally just come from a place we're clearly not supposed to be. There's a fair chance someone didn't like that. Nebula wants to check for tracks.
Okay. Good, make a survival check. We'll say with Galahad there as well, you can do it at advantage. Because the two of you have a common goal.
Bugbear tracks.
18 plus 1 for a 19.
19, okay. You're unable to find any tracks. Phelan's stealth check was too high.
God damn it! Too roguey.
Yeah.
Rogues be rogues.
When you're too good at your job.
The one
they-
time I'm good at my job.
So you're too good at the time you're too good at your job, and then they expect that to be your standard.
Shit.
If someone's taken him, we might not have much time.
Where do we go from here?
I think you're right. We pop in for a quick second to see if we can navigate our original goal. If someone was able to pluck him from here, it'd be simply a few more steps to pluck their next target. So we should check inside for Yalties, but we need to find the others quickly then. And yeah, so Nebula wants to head inside and take a quick look to see if Yalties is in there.
Yeah, you take a look around, like, without talking to anybody and asking anything, you can tell definitively he's not in the room. It's a one-story place, you know, from previous experience with Les, when Les tried to go upstairs at the staircase that was at the far back corner, that's the proprietor's home, essentially. They live above the bar, so there isn't really anything up there that would lead you to believe Yalties is hiding. He's not in the outhouse, he's not in the bar, he's not in the surrounding area.
I'm gonna head up to the barkeep. And when I was here last, if I remember right, I looked like Nebula, I believe.
Yeah, I think you were just yourself.
Yeah, when I was sitting here drinking with him.
Yep.
And so, excuse me there. Have you seen my drinking partner around? Yalties, I believe, was that chap's name.
Oh, Yalties, yeah, he was in earlier. About an hour or so ago. I had a rough day on the fields and called it an early one. Head out with the I'd say right after about sunset. Night's starting to fill in. You just want to head home and get a decent rest tonight.
Rest is important. Drinks would have been better, but that's all right. I'll let him have this one. Thanks.
Well, he did have his fair share of drinks. Not as bad as he was the other day, of course, but he was not a sober lad tonight.
All right. Well, thanks for letting me know. I suppose I'll have to round up my other friends and just come enjoy a drink on our own.
Yeah, please do. Be open at least for the next couple of hours until midnight hits.
Wonderful. And Nebula would turn then and head back to Galahad. Sounds like he went home, so we drew the short straw today, and Phelan might have drawn an even shorter one.
So what do we do? Meet up with the rest of the party, or look for Phelan?
I don't have any way to track them currently. Do you have any way to perhaps locate what's happened to Phelan?
No.
And unfortunately, I think our best bet is to go ensure that the original mission is accomplished, and with the others' help, we may have to go back down, or wherever Phelan is being potentially kept or has gone off to.
All right.
And yeah, we'll.
I leave
head
a
out.
1 gold tip for the bartender because he was helpful.
All right.
Yeah, good.
And he kind of scoops up the coin and open tab tonight. Hope I'll see you later on. Cheers, mates. And kind of just tosses it into a cup behind the bar. Everybody seems completely normal, nothing out of place. Alrighty, so you two heading out. We'll jump to Margot
Actually,
Jules.
sorry.
Yeah.
Just one little thing.
Mhm.
As Nebula's walking out the door,
I stab him.
he says,
I started
"You got the last one," and he turns around. And just out of curiosity, he does cast Divine Sense in this bar.
Okay. Bar full of people, really taking a look around. Everybody shot.
Celestial Fiend or Undead.
Yeah, looking around inside the room, you don't see anything that pings. Looking up in the rafters, looking particularly for any bats. Nothing.
And he'll look back and says, "Seems it's not a day."
We'll get there.
And yeah, Galahad and Nebula leave.
All right, so you guys are able to head back out towards the area where you know Fealties was staying. So we'll jump to Margot, Jules, and Les. You three had kind of pushed on as Phelan, Galahad, and Nebula had stopped in at the bar. And by this point, you would have made your way kind of closing in on the farm where you know Fealties was staying. And you see none of the farmhands out tending fields or anything like that, but essentially just closing up for the night and making sure that all the horses are tied off and all the pens are closed up and locked to ensure that none of the animals escape or anything like that. Easily able to make your way up to whoever you'd like. See a couple of halflings and kind of a darker blue dragonborn that you recognize, Margot, from working the fields earlier when you went up and talked to Phelan or to Fealties earlier today.
So this one time, I was in Barovia, and I found this hag, and I just grabbed her off a stupid shelf and pile drived it.
Oh.
Please, can we focus? Less of your tall tales, more of this tall tale.
So at this, Margot, I'm going to try and open palm shush him, just be like, and I'm going to see the blue dragonborn. And I'm going to march over to him, to be like, Fealties Bladebane from the bar. Where is he? Is he at home? Have you seen him?
And you see the dragonborn kind of turn around and look at you and just,
no, he's not in this evening. He went on to the bar. Not exactly sure what happened from there. I was tending to the animals, but I could ask and see if he maybe came back without my knowledge.
I need to know if he's home.
All right, stay here, my lady. I will return.
and he kind of turns off, and you can see him kind of pick up a brisk jog, heading back to where some of the bunks were and where they camp out for the evening. And you can see him start talking to the two halflings that were there, and one of them just kind of like looks up and just goes and like seems to point back down along the road, and then the Dragonborn just kind of looks at him and looks back at the road and just okay, and then jogs back over to you guys and
apparently he was at the bar earlier, but when he came back to go to sleep, the Brownsguard, one of them said that he was needed in town about hour or so, 45 minutes ago.
Where in town? Where?
We
Specifically.
don't know. When the Crownsguard asks for you to come into town, you don't exactly ask a lot of questions. You follow.
You didn't overhear. They didn't overhear anything else. They didn't hear any location. They just said the town.
the Crownsguard said that he needed to stop, and they continued walking. And then, looking back, he was walking of his own accord, but back in towards town.
In what general direction towards town?
Along the main road. There's one road.
And he kind of gestures, and you see that there really is only one road that kind of snakes its way between all the farms and leads into the center of town over the bridge that you guys came in on a couple of days earlier.
Did they look like they were heading towards any particular building, any particular location in town, is what I mean?
Well, it's a 10-minute walk back to town. By that point, my friends here were already tending to the closing duties for the evening. They have no idea. They didn't ask. It was not exactly hard. You could try the Crownsguard to seem to stop him and ask. I'm sure they might be able to tell you more.
He's not home, so we know that. You saved us a trip, thank you. And Margot's just gonna whip around and just jog back towards Margot.
And then he just kind of waves off and then heads back over to doing what he was doing before.
I hate to see you go, but I love to watch you leave, is probably what he's thinking. But besides that point,
as best you could tell, of all the people and all the Dragonborn specifically in this city so far, he is one that definitively does not seem particularly interested.
oh, thank God, somebody with class. Okay, cool. So, at this point, Margot is going to jog back to Jules and Les. Just be like, he's not home. There's no point in checking there. Unless there's anything that we think we could possibly find, any clues. Apparently, Crownsguard came and picked him up and brought him into town.
Well, if that gentleman that you just spoke with seemed amicable to responding to questions, maybe you should ask if there is anyone here with the initials NP or NH in the book. Just try and get any sort of recon whatsoever.
And I could.
Awkwardly goes back. By the way.
Okay, Margot does, I guess, another 180.
All right, awkwardly goes back. Sure.
A few more questions of your time. And she's gonna be like kind of out of breath because obviously like I got put to sleep and look, I'm just waking up, haven't had my morning coffee.
You can see that he's just kind of like at this point, he's looking a little frustrated. He's just,
Fine, ask her questions, but I need to continue my jobs.
and you can see he starts to like move off away from you and starts like tying off more animals. So you're kind of just following him a little bit, asking any questions you want.
Can you tell me if you know anybody with these initials? And remind me again what the initials are, guys.
NH.
NH.
Mm-hmm. NH.
Do you know anybody here in this town of importance with the initials NH?
Of importance?
Importance or not, just anybody with the initials NH.
He starts like chewing the inside of his cheek and like tying off one of the animals and thinking for a second, starts to make his way a little bit further around.
NH. Not that I can think of. Oi! You two!
And he gestures for the two halflings and they kind of perk up and look over at him. And he gestures,
Any of you know someone NH?
and they just kind of look at him and just be like, Yuli? Well, the Crown's guy that took Fealty's and told him that info earlier is Newlin Hyde. Maybe him? I don't know.
Newlin Hyde?
Yeah. Hyde. Hyde.
Newland Hyde. Better than nothing. At this point, Margot like looks at the two and just kind of nods, and then just goes, "I hope I don't have any more questions for you, but we have to go."
Yeah, I hope you don't have any more for me either.
And he just starts making his way further off and definitively looks just frustrated at this point of how much longer this is taking him to get his job done.
I'd eat your goats and make your job more difficult, but I got a job to do myself. Okay. But so at this point, Again, Margot jogs back and looking pretty haggard. She's like, please stop making me run. Newland hide. Newland hide. Crown so relays the information breathlessly, but relays it.
And just real quick, Jordy, because I kind of had a hard time understanding the accent a bit.
Yeah.
What did he say?
So the Crown's Guard that stopped Fealties in the road was named in Newland Hyde, and the two of them headed back into town together. Newland escorting him somewhere. They don't know where, but there was apparently some reason that he had to be in town, and Newland was dispatched to bring him back.
Well, the center of town is where we suspect that trapdoor might be, so there might be two birds, one stone there.
Well, for the time being, let's regroup with the others back at the manor, I think.
You sure? I thought this was a timely thing.
It is a timely thing, but I think we're too late. And
We
it
might as well
would
go
be best
search his
for us
house.
to go
There might be
in.
something there, though, we're here. There could be some other clues that maybe we're not aware of. And I am excellent at kicking down doors.
Let's not damage any of Fealty's property. I'm sure that he would not appreciate that. But if you think that it's wise for us to search his abode, then I guess we shall.
Who'd be great at getting into people's houses? Phelan. Oh, wait!
Wait! He's off narking.
But here's the deal. If he got taken and went willingly with the Crown's Guard, would we find any information within his residence if he was taken?
Perhaps more...
Necessarily.
It seemed so, correct, Margot?
So
There probably would have been more of a fuss if he went unwillingly.
From what they said, he went.
Right, but the thing being, if it was just Crown's Guard being like, hey, we just want to come talk to you, willy-nilly, didn't seem like anything suspicious about it. Probably
Well, he was
home first and grab some things. Like, there might be something left behind.
He was worried about the Rakshasa, and the Crown's Guard also know about it. Maybe they were trying to bring him in about that. Maybe they were trying...
Yeah. I still think there's nothing to be wrong about just going in there and seeing if anything was left behind just to be safe.
Let's
dealing with.
Let's take a quick look. Maybe it'll give us some information on why he's been targeted.
There's a part of me that feels ill about letting this go on without finding him sooner.
Jules will kind of walk up to Margot and place her hand on her shoulder and say, the fact of the matter is that either he is safe within the protection of the Crown's Guard, or it's already too late for him.
And for NH? Yes.
Newland Hyde.
Yes. It could be too late for both of them.
So I'm betting that the best thing we can do now is gather information.
At this point, Margot's gonna make a very, frustrated, growl and just kind of trudge towards his home.
Okay.
Don't worry, you can set something on fire soon enough.
All right. So you three making your way over towards where you dropped Fealties off the previous evening, knowing vaguely where he sleeps. You go in, and it's not...
You could not have said that in a more creepy manner, Jordy.
Sure. Yeah, you're able to make it up. And the only thing is that it's not a private space. It is a shared space. He seems to be in a kind of a bunk situation with three other individuals. Door is currently closed, but you're able to look in, and windows are drawn. It's a warm night, so some of the windows are open. The curtains are kind of blowing a little bit in a bit of a breeze. You see that there are currently two people that are just inside sitting down, and one that's kind of half laying on their bed.
You want me to go ahead and start this mess?
After you.
You guys are the one that want to investigate it.
Alrighty, Rue.
All right, so knock on the door, and you just hear, "Yeah, who's there?"
Les Paul.
Les Paul. Sure? And you just hear boom, 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 come over to the door and open it up. And you see a halfling standing about, like 3.5 feet tall or so. A little bit taller than a normal halfling, but pretty wiry. A couple of muscles on the shoulders, but otherwise just looking up at you. And, yeah, what do you want?
Oh, hello there, friend. How you doing today? Not going to take up too much of your time. We're friends of Fealty's. We met quite recently, new in town. He told us to come meet him downtown for a drink, but mentioned that he had to go in before us. He just wanted us to pick up a couple of his things. We might be like an all-nighter kind of thing, kind of a crazy part of town. Do you mind if we just come in and grab some of his things really quick?
You're asking to go through his things?
Not all of his things, just like his bag, something that he can have like leftover overnight things in there,
So his things?
Well, a bag of sorts they left behind upstairs.
And you can see he turns around and isn't really sure exactly how to respond. Go make a persuasion check.
I'm trying to be as confident as I can.
Yeah, no, I know. It's some random dude shows up to your house and is like, hey, I'm a friend of Kevin's. He just said that he left some shit here and you told me to come and pick it up for him.
Yeah, he would have called ahead, but phones aren't real. So.
I know, you can text him. He's got a sending stone on him.
Yeah.
Nope. 10.
10? All right.
Unless anyone behind me wants to help me.
I mean, this is kind of a you thing, but you're just looking. He's like, yeah, with the name, and I'm pretty sure he would have described somebody looking like you. Nah, and the door is starting to close.
I'm gonna put my hand on the door. So
At this point, Margot's gonna put her hand on Les's face and kind of push him out of the way and be like, "What if you describe somebody like me?"
Oh, he did describe somebody like you, a lovely lady that took him home last night.
In a way. He and you see her kind of foaming at the mouth a little bit. She just looks over to Jules like, help me.
Jules will kind of shoo the two of them out of the way. Just say, my apologies for them. We just need to get Fealty's back.
And at this point, Margot's gonna trip up. She's like, "It's important to me that I find him."
Go find him, and then you can come and get his stuff after.
Ignore her. She's a little bit tipsy right now. Jules just kind of pushes you back and looks to Les Paul, get her away from here. And Jules turns back and says, the situation is Fealty's didn't want us to say necessarily, but he's a bit too tipsy currently at the bar. Well, I don't think that tipsy is the correct term. He's quite drunk and couldn't make his way back here. We offered to help him back, but he said that he didn't want a repeat of what happened last night with him slurring all over the place and being a drunken mess. He said that instead we should just come back here, collect a few of his things, and come back and bring them to him. And he's planning on crashing at somebody's house in town. I'm not sure of the details. I'm honestly just here to make sure that Margot doesn't say anything stupid.
And then you can see them just kind of looking at each other and then looking back at you, and just none of this is making sense at all. But they're kind of looking past you at Margot.
Just desperation go with me, he's staying with me, I need his things.
Yeah, and that's the thing is they look kind of past at Jules at you, and then you say his things of me, he's staying with me, can I just take his shit? And they're just lucky bastard. Right, and then you see them kind of shut the door for a second, go inside, grab the bag, and just kind of toss the bag out one of the open windows, and it just boom, 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 lands on the ground, and kind of spills a little bit. And you can see that there's a decent amount of clothes that are kind of piled into the top of it. But yeah, you guys have a bag of Fealties'.
Ooh.
Margot's just gonna cover her face with her hands and just be like, I just did that.
Okay.
And that's the stupid shit that I was attempting not get her to say.
We got his bag!
So much. I know we got his bag, but I'm putting on a show. Thank you very little. I'm an actor.
So.
I'm
an actor. I'm an actor.
I'm an actor.
So, with the three of
on
you.
the other side of town, we're like, I'm sure they're doing just fine with their stuff.
So, with the three of you now, Fealties' bag over your shoulder, making your way away from the farmhouse where he's staying. Galahad and
Very crucial
Nebula,
item.
you two would be kind of walking up at about the same amount of time at this point. We'll jump to you guys back in a sec, but Phelan, you, having come out of Watchmaster's office, per se, within the villa, your wits fully back about you, your mind your own again. What would you like to do?
I, with a cold sweat running down my forehead, am going to pull my hood back up again and try and sneak my way back to the pub, specifically wanting to make sure that I'm not followed by the guards. And on my way there, I'm gonna just keep an eye out on my paladin friends and see if I can find them anywhere.
Okay, go ahead and make a stealth check for me.
Yeah, baby. Now that I'm back in my mind, I'm probably gonna roll shit, so it's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah, I did. That's 5 + 8 for a 13.
13. All right. Given the cover of night and your ability to see in the dark versus a lot of the people here being halflings and humans not having that, it's not hard to kind of jump from shadow to shadow. You stumble a little bit here and there. It's been a long day. You're definitely weary. You're hurting. So you're probably not your stealthiest version of yourself, as you would have been were you compelled. But you seem to be able to make it outside, and no one seems to pay you any second mind. You trip over a little rock here and there and kind of stumble forward, and people look over at you and like, oh, that guy's weird, and then just keep walking. But nobody seems to be paying any particular attention to you that you can notice.
Okay. Good. Yeah, I'm gonna just
rushing outside. All right.
I'm
So you guys are rushing out.
If I find anybody.
All right. So with Phelan rushing, double speed, triple dash, as fast as you possibly can. Galahad and Nebula, you guys would catch up with Jules, Les, and Margot as they were leaving Fealties' sleeping accommodation, and kind of, about halfway back on the road towards the bar, you guys would see each other on the road.
If you're wrong about Nebula, I'm sure that even though we didn't have any success, I'm sure that the other half of the party did way better.
As we approach each other, you can hear as Jules is kind of chastising Margot and being like, we don't want to cause any sort of alarm in the town. If we cause any alarm, the killer will be notified of that and probably speed up his efforts even more, putting Fealties in even more danger. Do you understand that you can't just go around spreading panic? Like, that's not a good idea.
I can never show my face back there again. Let's just get this over with.
No, probably can't. Just.
Do we hear that at this point?
They're gonna think I'm a lady of the night, Jules. They're gonna think I'm a lady of the night.
You're literally a lady and it's night.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Not that.
Pretty dark out.
All right.
It's a long story. Moving on. We have his stuff.
We got his bag.
Awesome. So you have gained something and we have lost something, but neither of us seem to have. Why don't we?
Fealties was picked up by one of the Crown's Guard, the Crown's Guard being Newland Hyde, NH, as in the book. They were both headed towards the center of town, which is where we suspect that area was. Things aren't looking super great currently.
Yeah, not really great on our end. Not only did we not locate him, but Phelan is. Yeah, so we're not sure. He told us he was
How
going.
are you not sure?
He told us he was
How do
going
you
to
lose a
step
bugbear?
outside, and he was going to come back around to attempt. And he's pretty good at what he does, so we allowed him.
Don't cherish him. That's how you lose.
Honestly, I don't feel like I cherish him enough, so perhaps he was whisked away on that. We're maybe perhaps a little concerned he was taken, and there were no tracks left. But he stepped outside and was just gone.
You assume he was taken. If he was taken against his will, there probably would have left tracks. I doubt that was
very much like the Rakshasa out in the field. Left plenty of tracks for us, right?
Good point. We also got to that a little bit later.
This is
He specifically told us he was stepping out and was going to attempt to come at this from a different angle and sit down and play cards, and then was gone. I feel like if it was not against his will, then we need to be on more high alert around Phelan, and I'd rather opt for the assumption that it was against his will.
What if he really is just still in the bathroom because we didn't actually check the outhouse?
The door was open.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Maybe he fell in.
Like,
I suppose a portal to hell being in the outhouse would not be the strangest thing I've ever heard.
Giving new meaning to a shitty situation.
Is now really the time?
Bro character. Achaidh.
It's okay, Lance. We're just helping you prepare for school. If you can stay serious in these situations, you can do anything.
Okay, so it sounds like, regardless, our best bet is towards town.
Seems like it.
Also, what did you find in his stuff?
Jordy.
You guys haven't really taken a look at it. You can make an investigation check and pull everything out of the bag if you'd like.
Yeah, I was gonna look at it on the way to the bar.
Okay. So it's a fairly large duffel bag, but yeah, you're able to kind of pull it out bit by bit. So yeah, investigation check.
Nope.
At advantage because two of you are looking.
Oh, thank God. Not that great. Still, fuck. 12.
12? Okay. I mean, it's a lot of clothes. Vast majority of it seems to be traveling clothes. You've got a long overcoat, probably meant for more rainy weather, whereas right now you're coming up on kind of the peak of spring, coming up on one of the larger harvests for the season. You've got,
What's this? A 7-sided gem! Oh my God.
You've got, some odd trinkets here and there. You've got a couple of really interesting smooth stones with kind of interesting striations that are on them. You can see one that looks almost like a glowing piece of ember. It's probably amber of some kind, maybe worth a little bit here and there, but you can tell it's probably more of a sentimental thing he was hanging on to. A little bit of coin, about 2 or 3 dozen silver pieces. Nothing that you wouldn't expect out of somebody who works as a farmhand for the last couple of months.
There's not much in here.
You said there are some gems?
Yeah, a couple that look like, they may be worth like 5 to 10 gold pieces each. They're probably more like keepsakes than anything. Majority of them are like... Sorry?
Take anything of his and I'll roast you alive.
Do any of the gems happen to match the one in the skull in the basement?
No, they do not.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had to
That's the joke that I made. I was like, and I find 7-sided gem perfectly fits.
Yeah, no, the ones that you see are definitely more on the smaller side. They're like more spherical, kind of hard cut edges that look like they're more rough hewn and maybe like sanded a little bit smooth, so don't actually cut somebody if they're holding them. They're definitely more rough in comparison to that clearly being a specifically cut piece.
Does this appear to be a getaway bag, like a bag that Fealties could grab if he had to like leave town in a hurry?
I mean, you're not sure if this is all of his belongings, but it's definitely a traveling bag. It
says right here under the tag, getaway bag, signed.
Yeah. Company made by Herschel.
Yeah, Jules will just take a look at Margot and say, is there anything that you found out by talking with him that would make you suspect that he would need to be on the run very quickly with a bag like this.
He seemed like just a simple farmhand. He was worried more than anything, but maybe if things were getting dicey, he just thought to keep everything in one place so he could grab it and go if it wasn't worth the money.
I mean, there is also the fact that he was assuming that they thought he was in cahoots or in
That is a very good
the stealing. So, and I want to chime in on that very particular verbiage there. We called him a very simple farmhand. But if this book is connected to him, you wouldn't just choose someone out of the blue. I mean, to mark the initials down, there's something about him or something he'd done or something they'd done to him.
He's a dragon, Nebula.
Is that enough?
That may not necessarily.
It could tie in, is all I'm saying. If they've been
Perhaps.
harvesting dragons, it might make sense that they might be looking for somebody that might have something like that.
I don't know whether or not the others that were murdered were indeed. Hold on. Let me check my notes on that. Let me double check my notes before I open my dumbass mouth.
Yeah, because weren't some of the ones that have vanished humans, or were they all dragonborn?
How many? I don't know if we even know how many.
I don't have that information written
Yeah,
down.
we don't know necessarily how many have been taken, who they, like, what type of race they were. I don't think.
We don't.
So I'll say just because, DM who knows all, the one you know definitively is Darius, who is the farm owner, who is a halfling.
Okay.
Yeah, and the other ones we've heard that people have been disappearing, but we haven't been told like what their race is or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
The only thing is, that 2 people connected to the Fowler estate that Zacharias told you about. He didn't give you their names, their races, or anything like that. He just said 2 of my people disappeared.
He didn't even tell me their names. I asked their names, and he went, "I'm above knowing names," and I was like, "Okay."
Actually, you never asked him for their names.
Did we not?
No.
Fuck.
Because he would have given you their names, because I have them written down. You never asked for them.
Jack. I could have swore I asked him about names, and he said something about he doesn't remember names. Maybe it wasn't in that context, though. Maybe I am misremembering. Either way.
Actor!
I swear to God.
Actor!
My sense memory was fogging up my vision.
Perhaps time is of the essence then, and we should try and locate our friend Fôlkvangr and this guard NH, you said. Newland Hyde?
Newland Hyde.
What are we gonna do about a bugbear friend? If you said he's been compromised, do we want to wait around for someone like that to continue? I mean, I haven't known him that long. You've been with him much longer.
New guy?
Well, if he was taken, the other 2, who we are unsure if they've already been taken, might be next. If he was taken because of where we went, one of us is most likely next. If he's defected, I'm not sure why or what he would have done so for. But either way...
Well, we all did take a dirt nap in that hallway next to a bunch of scary demonic writing and a very scary horned skull. I mean, don't take a genius to know that something fishy is fucking going on around here. No pun intended.
I mean, I think you're allowed to intend those puns.
Either Phelan has been taken, and all likelihood is by searching down Fôlkvangr and Newland, we will end up finding Phelan in the process. Or Phelan has been compromised and we should avoid him. So either way, I don't believe he's our current top priority.
He is a very talented tracker. If we were to go to the center of town, he probably could find where we are pretty quickly either way.
Agreed.
That as well.
I trust his ability to find us more than ours to find him.
That is a very good point.
Very scary when someone that big and furry can just disappear, you know?
On that note, if we are to encounter him again, I want to know about this disappearance. If he wasn't taken, I'll want to know what happens, but coming from someone who can, and he'll sort of transform into Phelan, do things like this, now is an excellent time to be wary. And he'll turn back into Nebula's base form.
Okay.
Not his final form.
Yeah. Y'all ain't seen that yet. Y'all ain't ready.
We have a heading. We've got a lead. What do you all want to do?
Let's head to the center of town. Right?
Onward.
Okay. So, heading back on the road, 5 of you rolling out. Start to make your way back towards Dusty Boots, following along the path. Maybe 5 minutes or so past Dusty Boots, you see a familiar figure trudging down the road towards you, as Phelan very quickly, at a running pace, is fast approaching.
There he is.
Never mind. I take it back. It's very easy to spot.
With him approaching, Nebula wants to scan the area for anyone else watching them.
Okay, go make a perception check.
Can Jules assist in that?
You can, so add advantage.
Get it.
I'm just looking at Phelan.
That is
Yes, boy.
I remember you broke
a
my
natural
heart.
20.
Dirty 20.
Oh.
Okay. Taking a look around, Phelan running down the road at full tilt, not exactly being stealthy, considering there's not exactly a lot to stealth behind anymore. There's definitely a couple of Crownsguard that are paying attention. None of them seem to be approaching or anything, but they are looking at your larger group, making your way back towards town, and then a bugbear running at full pelt towards you.
Are we just in the middle of a road? Is there
Yeah.
any way, like, step aside, or is there, like, we passed the bar, right?
Yeah, you're about 5 minutes past the bar or so.
Are there any shops or anything nearby that we could, like,
It's all
step
just
aside?
open farmland. Only thing you could really do is, dive into a corn, essentially a corn maze. Go into a couple of the fields and hide between some of the corn rows.
Nebula's gonna sort of fade to the... No, because we're the ones who knew he left. Seeing this, Nebula's gonna say, be on your guard.
Gotcha back.
This is clearly not the direction of the bar or the restroom. Nor would it be the direction that we would have gone had he assumed we went to the house. This is literally in the direction that we're seeking.
I'm going to make a show of taking my knives and putting them away, making sure that my hands are empty. I'm going to walk towards the others, and I'm also, my thing is I don't want to like metagame it and say like that I've seen the guards, but like I'd like to at least keep an eye out for guards as I walk by, specifically Crown's Guard, to make sure that like I know this information isn't going back to the head guard and to the watchmaster. So if would I need to do a perception check, or would I just be able to say that, or how would we go about it?
Yeah, I mean, you would be totally fine to just be able to do that, because the guards themselves aren't directly on the path. They're kind of off the main road a little bit. So it's essentially just finding a position where you don't think you'll be overheard by the guards, and that's pretty easy to do. They're pretty widely spread out. It's more so if something breaks out, they can be there within a couple of minutes, rather than something where they're like literally side by side creating a blockade or anything.
Perfect. I'm going to get close to the others. Not within like 5 feet, just give it at least some distance, so like I'm within earshot of the others, and say there are gods around. I've messed up I need to tell you.
And he'll hold up a finger, and he'll look to Jules, and Nebula will nod at Jules to be able to have this conversation.
Yep. I'll open up Awakened Mind between me and Phelan and say, you should probably explain yourself.
I would like to know what happened to me too. When I woke up from that sleep, something compelled me to betray us, I would say. The Crown's God, no, the Watchmaster, Tobias, knows that we went down there and what we found and who we are. It felt like something left, I'd say. I feel much lighter after, but I tried to keep some of the details away from him. But I was pretty much helpless to it. He seemed to let me go, I guess, once he thought I wasn't a threat. But he seemed very suspicious and very angry that we found it.
Yeah. Jules is looking more and more angry the more you tell her, and she's definitely gonna roll an insight on you, my dude.
Yeah.
That's fair. I believe him.
That is a 10 plus 2, a 12.
A 12, okay. Phelan, go ahead and roll a persuasion. Oh, actually, yeah, roll a persuasion check for me.
Well, I ain't calling you a truther. Yeah, baby. 18 plus 3.
Yeah, I mean, he seems to be being pretty honest. Nothing about this seems like... It seems outlandish, but it doesn't seem like he's lying.
What exactly did you tell him?
Everything until... I guess everything we saw in there. I tried to keep as much as I could, but that essentially amounted to not telling him that we read the journal, and he seemed very satisfied with that. He was happy that we didn't know the contents of it, so I guess we have that going for us, but it seemed like he knew that he knows more than what we could deal with, but I was in no shape to try and interrogate or do anything other than just leave.
All right then. And Jules will break the awakened mind with Phelan and open it up to Nebula. And say, from what Phelan says, and I think that he's being truthful, after he was put to sleep, he was compelled to tell the Watchmaster of what we saw. He tried to keep what he could away from him, but for the most part told him nearly everything. Seemed satisfied when Phelan told him that he hadn't read the contents of the notebook.
Who else fell asleep?
Margot and Les Paul. I had a hard time remembering who was there.
Did any strange occurrences happen on your journey?
None. Although Phelan was the one at the door, which may have affected things.
Perhaps. But if all we have for certain is that the ones who fell asleep were compelled to out us, we should also operate under the potential that at the very least, if he's telling the truth, both Les Paul and Margot may be...
Margot was slightly too forthcoming with information for my liking. Nebula has infected me with the sus. I hate you for this. I hate you for this, Corso.
That divine sus power.
Enthralls all that surrounds.
Trust no one and nothing.
With that,
even yourself.
he says a relief has passed over him, but how did he get away?
I just imagine we're all in this dirt road talking to each other telekinetically. We're all standing in a road silently, and villagers walking by, and just see standing in the middle of the road, just. But those fucking people are weird, man. Like,
it's more so that you guys, like, Phelan ran full tilt up towards you guys, and then they started to hear, like, murmured conversation, like, hushed conversation, and then all of a sudden it just went silent, and there's 6 of you just standing in the road looking at each other.
Yeah, no, with maybe with noticing that, because I was thinking about that, I would say, well, Phelan, we were just headed to the center of town, perhaps to get a better view of the city, a little sightseeing. If you wouldn't mind leading the way.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And I'll turn back around and head to the city center.
And he'll keep this conversation up, but now that they're moving, the lack of talking won't be as awkward while he continues to ask Jules, do we have some form of removing something afflicting others?
I don't.
Bitch, you the paladin.
Oh, I thought you were talking to me, and I'm like, what?
I am not a paladin.
Because in my current state, I could cure them of a poison or an ailment, but
damn,
not a magical ability to clear it.
Any clerics for hire? Clerics for hire.
I could attempt to remove a charm on them, but I'm unsure if they are still.
I have crossbows.
I'm unsure if they are still under that command. It would appear that you, Galahad, and I would be unaffected, as Galahad did not succumb to it.
I'm built different.
Hey.
Literally.
Literally.
Yeah,
I don't think that there's anything that we can immediately do, but stay vigilant. I believe Phelan's telling the truth, but I can't be certain.
So the rest of the party hasn't got to hear any of this, right?
No.
Because we stopped Phelan from speaking out loud, and so the rest of them are unaware of what's going on.
Correct.
Are there, well, while we're walking now, is there a good spot that, like, we would note that there's, or can we just kind of talk in hushed tones out loud so that, like, no one within range could?
Yeah, the main road is not something where there's, like, actively patrols or anything like that. If somebody comes close enough to you, you can easily just kind of quiet your conversation and make a joke heading back without any real issue. So we'll just assume that you're able to have a hushed conversation without any problem.
You call a duck with 3 feet. Yes, but what about the murder? Murder.
The muck duck.
Yeah, everyone stuffs in this town. Oh yeah, Lady of the Night.
Yeah.
NH, you know.
So as we're walking, then Nebula is going to openly kind of give some of this information to his party members. Some of it, as he says, apologies for the silent discussion here, but it would appear that Phelan was compelled to tell the Watchmaster, Tobias, everything that transpired. Something seems to have taken over him after he fell asleep, which made him report directly to that. The fact that whatever it is, if this is true, which unfortunately we can't be certain, but if it is true, it compelled him to report to Tobias. I have a couple of questions and fears with that. And I'll make sure that we kind of are in range so that Phelan can be hearing this, like, right behind him and hear us, so that I want him involved in the conversation. If it is true, I don't understand why you were let go, unless to convey more information that we discuss. which means you could potentially still be compelled yet again. If it is based on the fact that you fell asleep, then 2 more of our party also succumbed to that. And both Margot and Les Paul, you are at risk for being not as you appear to be.
I'll try and whisper a bit to peeps behind me, but while I think it's good to be suspicious, I think sometimes the answer might just be the simplest one. I don't feel free to mistrust it, but I don't feel like there is anything left for me to say. I was able to hide the information or the fact that I knew the contents of what was in the book. I felt okay with not giving that information and not, I guess, I told them everything we saw, but I didn't read the book, and I was being honest then, but I think...
So he was very interested in the contents of the book then?
He was interested in knowing if I knew what the contents of the book were, yes. And I tried to play it off as I knew nothing and had no interest. He tried to see what my interest in the book and what my interest in this whole ordeal was, and I said, essentially not my cup of tea, and I don't really care, and I was headed off to bed for the night. So I think either he left me to go so he could get me later. I don't think I was being followed yet, so they might just be wanting to find out where we sleep, or the other option is that they just thought I was not a threat anymore, which I think is less likely, knowing that I could go back and do exactly what I'm doing right now, telling you all.
Or that could be a red herring.
Very much so.
In this instance, I am worried that there is more to it. Obviously, letting you go proves that you returned directly to us, which could put us all in danger. But it also sounds like it would be more dangerous to have you off on your own, as we don't know what more can come of that.
Does he know that it wasn't just you?
Yes. And he knows exactly who was with me.
May I ask, what name did you use when you gave mine?
No names. I did not give any names. I just said descriptions. I said there was a tiefling with us.
At least you didn't say Fowler.
Yes, I did not mention any of your names, but I feel like there aren't a whole lot of Warforged around.
Well, we should operate under the assumption that not really like we had a cover, but like
our anonymity.
Yes, has been broken, and we just got a major clue. You wouldn't have an alarm on that door unless
there was something to hide behind it.
Certainly. And I have a feeling we know who has the key.
Watchmaster.
Did you see anything in the room that could have been that key?
I did not think to look. And is there any way to... Did I notice anything offhand as I look back and think to it? Or... I mean, I know I was too busy, so I wasn't...
I'll say make a perception check at disadvantage, given the situation that happened. And you kind of got a bit of a look. You saw some of the weapons that were on the walls, the paper, military style papers on the floors. You got a pretty good look at the guy. So, but
one of them was a nat 20, but the other was a total of 8.
Total of 8. Yeah. Nothing really stood out. You saw the weapons on the walls. You saw the paper on the floors. You word vomited the information, and as soon as it was done, you just felt a whoosh clarity come to your mind and go, "Oh God, what did I just do?" And then you saw this man. You're like, "Oh God, what did I just do?"
With that super hot fire, and he's like,
"Yeah, exactly."
No, I don't think my time there was spent, I guess, telling him of our every move and then regretting it instantly. But did not spend any time looking around.
Nebula, as they're walking, will say, then it seems we need to get a look in that office soon. Probably sooner rather than later, seeing as our cover has been made. We can inspect to see if we have any leads on PLTs or where this guard went, but considering it's the head of the guard watch that we are now quite suspicious of, one could bet that they are already in his pocket at the very least, or he's got them under his thumb, even if they don't know it.
Perhaps we should inform Jules' uncle.
That may serve as help, or at the very least, could be advantageous to utilize their connection. Jules, your uncle and the Watchmaster are said to be associates, yes?
I believe so, yes. However, my uncle did mention that he was going against the Watchmaster's order, bringing other people in.
Well, now we might know why that was the order. So,
That is a very good point.
someone
we could
like your
definitely use
uncle,
his resources.
very resourceful, could be quite helpful in handling this situation. Plus, it means I get to pester Philip more, so, you know.
Please don't
win-win.
pester Philip. He's just trying to do his job.
Clearly a job he's not super fond of, but he's, like, damn good at it, so...
Exactly. He doesn't want to be doing it. That's obvious, so stop pestering him.
But your uncle's resources could be the key
I
to
don't
this.
appreciate how you completely and totally dodged that. It could be. Should that be our next step then? Go back to the manor?
I mean,
Or
it's safe
should-
to assume at this point that the trapdoor we've been sussing about is probably where they're taking him. I don't think any reconnaissance down into this area is going to come up surprising otherwise. I mean, if we go there half-cocked, we could be getting into something that we're not nearly ready to go headlong into. I say we take the night, rest. If our friend here is done for by now, the deed is probably done. I don't see any advantage in going in half-cocked at this point.
Agreed. I think that the best thing for us to do would be to return to the manor, attempt to speak with my uncle, and if he is already, which is likely, asleep, then rest and attempt.
It seems that you are the most precious thing to him at this point. The fact that you need to exceed these trials and represent your family in a way that keeps this legacy going. Most likely, whether he's crooked or not, his goal, his priority is probably to keep you safe and to keep you powerful.
I think it's less of keeping her a priority and more of keeping the legacy she carries a priority.
Either or, his help will be appreciated, and we have her on our side to make that happen.
At the very least, the information we've already gathered should prove that we're making good progress. Will help
I
us.
certainly feel like it's worth waking him up for. Sorry, but as far as timetables go, I do believe rest is important, and we should do that while we allow your uncle to gather resources. But given the circumstances, if he's unawares and that house comes under attack, I'm sorry, but I'm not quite certain that Philip will be up to snuff to handle whatever is down there or whatever is wrapped up about this.
You're right.
So at the very least, we should tell him and then sleep.
You're right. I'm hesitant to do anything that would upset him for obvious reasons.
Oh, don't worry.
But-
You won't be the one upsetting him. Clearly, that's a fan favorite of mine. You can even do the whole act where you run in to stop me. Love when you do that. Looks great. Solid. But before, just one little point of order here. And Nebula's going to look at Phelan, and then going to look at Margot and at Les Paul and go, just so we're clear, I'm about to do something. I'm going to go figure out what's behind the creepy skull door, and then I'm going to murder the Watchmaster, and I'm going to ruin his entire demon plan. And he's just going to wait, and he's just going to stare at them.
Activating combat protocol.
And we will probably be right by your side. I do hope we don't die on the other side of that door, but yes.
And I do mean that if you don't do something about it right now, that whole plan is going up in smoke.
That you go and just kill the Watchmaster right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Like he's saying this out. Like, yeah, I'm gonna do that right now.
Yes, I think that you've proven.
Okay, cool, great,
I think
awesome.
that you've
Lesson, Margot. I need no.
Good God! And that's literally
I
what
do
he's
not
Dare me like
need
that.
you to make wisdom saving throws.
Nebula's trying to trigger.
Trying to put out a trigger. Yeah. As best you can tell, neither Margot nor Les seem to be affected by anything you're saying, beyond what their normal reactions would be.
But beyond them normally going, what the fuck are you talking about? And he's like, that's fine. I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
But you didn't run off to tell him.
Correct.
Can I
gotta go
can
to
I
the
make
bathroom.
an make an Arcana check to see like what sort of spell this would be and if it could have just affected Phelan?
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
should have done this earlier.
Yes, you should have.
Oh, I dropped that die. So fuck. Why can't
Drop that one
why
too.
don't- That's a 17 plus 6,
Arcana?
so 23.
23.
Oh,
Okay. The spell that was cast on Phelan is one that, as a warlock, again, you have the ability to know.
Fucking hell.
Given the
Alright.
description of it, you would imagine that this was most likely some variant on a command style spell. This could have been suggestion, it could have been command, probably not dominate person, because that's normally a very short amount of time. Given the amount of time that this was active for, you know, being a substantial chunk, probably well over an hour, you would imagine this was likely a suggestion spell. A suggestion spell is a single target spell. So it was very likely a ward of some kind that was placed upon the door to suggest at a very high level that the individual who touched the door report to this person, provide all the information, and then once the suggestion spell is concluded, they know that what they've done was the effect of a spell.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, on a 23, you get most of it.
As we're headed towards the manor, Jules is just kind of inspecting Phelan, like walking around him and poking and prodding him in different ways, looking for any sort of like magical residue, and then walking over and doing the same to Les and Margot. And if any of them are like saying anything, she's just like, bug off, I'm trying to figure something out. Thinking.
And we'll say as a
and
part of
then-
that Arcana check, best you can tell,
Yeah.
doesn't seem to be any lingering effects.
Yeah. And then Jules will kind of turn to the rest of the party and just be like, from what I can tell, I've been trying to think this over some more, and she'll just repeat basically what you just said, Jordy, for the sake of brevity. So I don't think that there's any ongoing effects from the spell any longer.
Excellent.
Oh.
Phelan, as it was my idea to have you recreate that, I apologize for putting you in such a position.
I understand, and I would like to formally apologize to you all for wrecking our plans like that.
Cool. I don't accept your apology until you personally stab that guy. Then we're squaresies.
I would very much like to do that.
Awesome.
Get there.
Do a double stab with both knives.
I'll stab the knife and then I'll teleport him back to me.
Just going
And that
full.
is
Just,
over you,
I'm
like,
just thinking
oh.
going full Drax. Just-
And like hands down, that is not even a joke. Nebula will not formally accept that apology until he sees that you're like 100%. Like he's like, no, it sounds like we're good to go and everything's solid. But
Until the Chewbacca shivs that body to death.
Yeah, but he's like, until you shiv him, I will know without a shadow of a doubt that magic isn't like. Nebula sort of hates long form magic because he's like, I hate it.
Fuck you, Gravicon. God. Okay, cool. Cool.
So back to Unk's house.
All right.
Yeah. When we get super close, Jules is just going to turn to the rest of the party and be like, remember when in front of my uncle and the rest of the house of the manor, it's Juliana Fowler.
Shit.
You guys have been very bad about that, which I cannot understand, but please, seriously.
I will also say this. I'll try to be on my best behavior, but there's a point where you insult our friend enough, and I feel like we get a little riled. So while I will try my best, if he gets out of pocket, I will do what you would like for us to do.
I will say, you're a bugbear. You're rather large. Love that. That's great. But sometimes we can be clumsy and just bump into some of this very expensive belating artwork.
Or what we could do is excuse ourselves from the room if we think that our emotions are out of.
Because if they're in the room and see you do it, it would look purposeful.
Okay. So here's the thing, right? I am 100% where I like same spot where you're at, Nebula. However,
Solid.
The problem is this is making it harder for Jules. I don't.
Nebula just turns and like his demeanor changes a little bit, and he's like, Jules, we get it. Be nice. I don't like the guy. You don't like how they treat you. None of us seem to agree with how they treat you. So, excuse me if I'm not at least at the top of the order to play fair. But this is your home, and we have a job to do, so lead the way.
Yeah, Jules will make her way inside. And is Philip anywhere nearby?
Yeah, so you guys have kind of made your way back over the last little while, chatting, heading through the town, being a little secretive, making sure that you're dodging any of the Crown's Guard and so on. Make your way back towards the Fowler Manor, pull up to the front door. 2 Crown's Guard and the Righteous Brand soldier are stationed outside. They knock on the door, and Philip comes out and, oh, yes, good to see all of you again this evening. Juliana, I'm glad to see that you are home safe.
Yes. Philip, where would my uncle be currently?
Your uncle, I believe, is up in his study.
Could you ask him, tell him that we request an audience with him to speak of what we've discovered recently?
Of course. Please come in, help yourselves to anything. It's a bit cold, unfortunately, but I'm sure there could be a few things warmed up for you if you would like some of the remaining dinner. A very nice fillet of salmon with some asparagus and local grains.
That...
Any charcuterie boards left?
One of them
Don't
could
you have
easily
some
be made
still
up
in
for
your
you.
pack?
I ate them.
Philip, that sounds wonderful, but we must really... time-sensitive matter.
Right,
with my uncle.
of course. Yes, please just wait in there. I'll go check on him. I should be back in
Thank you very much.
2 to 5 minutes. And he just hops
Did
up
you
the
know
stairs.
that betrayal makes you very hungry?
Bruh.
You would know.
You would
Feeling a
know.
bit of a betting man, right?
Oh yeah, because nothing says hiding guilt behind salami.
It helps. What can I say?
He's gonna lean over to Phelan and Galahad and be like, "Hey, because this was the crew that went with me to the bar," and he's gonna go, 1 gold says the uncle might be dead already.
So I'll take that bet. Whoa.
Jules overhears that.
5
Yeah,
gold
Nebula's
cents
not
to
even
buy.
really being quiet. He just kind of leans over as soon as Philip's gone. He goes, like, "Hey guys, 1 gold says the uncle's already dead." And Phelan's like, "Yeah, you're on."
Yeah, 5 gold is the watchmaster.
Les.
As soon as he makes that joke, like Les Paul, within like a quick reaction to that, runs over to check on the little girl.
Okay.
Shit.
Damn.
He forgot.
You got the worst babysitters.
Kevin just caught Margot with no memory.
Margo goes with Les.
So you immediately saying that go, "Oh God, the girl."
I
And you
don't
just
say
immediately head out.
anything. I don't say anything. I don't say chat. I just
You just go?
Just-
Okay. So yeah, so you immediately duck out of the room.
Oh fuck no! If he does that, Nebula's on him because Nebula was sus
Yeah.
of him. doing
nobody leaves my.
Divine sense!
Oh,
Stay with the
hold
game.
on, because Margot knows where Gilda is staying. Will she understand that that's where he's going for? Because otherwise we don't.
Make an insight check.
Okay.
I swear to God, if the 2 people I'm sus of leave the room in a run,
That's a nat 20. That's a nat 20.
Nebula will fucking death.
So it's literally a thing where Les very randomly, and for somebody that for
The
every
back of my head tells all.
So this is the thing. Every instance you've had, every occurrence with Les, if there is food, Les is getting food. There is food. Les leaves the room. Immediately you're like, okay, that's kind of sus. As soon as Les leaves the room and you can see that he looks left and Margot's looking at him, Margot's face goes stark, and then she immediately leaves the room. You immediately, like literally stepping on her heels, follow her out as the 2 of them head back. Les, you're not entirely
Jules
sure.
goes to stand and chase them down, and then is just.
I just imagine it's like
Back
Les booking it. You see an angry dragonborn like catching it, and then there's Nebula. Who's like,
Yeah, literally Benny Hilling the doors trying to figure out where Gilda is.
And it's just like. No way.
Yes, 100%.
I am so on their heels, literally hand on sword.
Wow.
Same.
Every stream needs sound effects. Needs a sound effect board.
I need to add one of those.
I have it up because I've got Galahad's voice there, so I need it.
So, with Les making his way out of the room, turning left, Margot immediately following, turning left, Nebula immediately following, turning left, the 3 of you remain in the dining hall as a bunch of plates of food are brought out, and you're served a very, very nice salmon en croûte with the...
Jules is just sitting in a chair with her head in her hands, just shaking her head.
Yeah.
God, my friends are weird.
So Les, you make your way through the back door, and you've got the 5 rooms that you've all been staying in. You know from the previous night that Gilda was staying in Margot's room, so you make your way down toward the end. Margot, you instinctively catch up. I'll say go ahead and, I'll get you guys to both make... we're just going to say athletics. See who gets there. Or no, initiative. See who gets there first.
Athletics. Go back to athletics.
No, it's
That's
initiative. It's getting the jump.
Strength.
I got.
a much better idea.
15.
I got a 15.
15 less.
Initiative. Oh, it's plus 2. Yeah. Fuck. Nope.
No? Okay. So, Margot, you kind of having a feeling you think you know where Les is going. You're like, no, I'm not going to let this fucking fish check on my daughter. So I'm going to get there first. And so you kind of like, in the hallway, he's like starting to close in. He puts hand on the door, and you just barrel into him from the side and shunt him further down the hallway, grab the door handle, and open the door and head in. And you see that Gilda is asleep on the bed and just like startles awake and then just kind of looks at you and just... Again.
Nope.
At this point, I just run over and I just like Superman dive and like hug her.
And she's just like,
You woke me up again.
Oh god! And just like gets tackled onto the bed. And she's looking perfectly fine, her normal healthy self. You see a little glass of water that's about half empty on the bed beside her, and some books that are far too advanced for a normal kid of her age, but that she's starting to make her way through, seemingly have been delivered to her room. She looks to be fine.
So Margot, like, seeing the books, just kind of like gently like pats her head, like in the hug, like face like half covered in pillow, half in Gilda's hair. It's just like, you're such a smart girl. And just like breathlessly, like you could tell she's just deflated at this point. But like,
and she just kind of like looks up and is just like,
she like looks at the door. Is there like remains of Les Paul on the door as I like splattered him on the floor?
You essentially just shunted him out of the way. He caught himself and was like reaching back to go for the door handle, but you were just able to barely open it ahead of time. And then like you step into the room, he steps in right after you. Nebula's right there, like hand on sword, ready to go. And then you tackle Guild onto the bed. Nebula like starts to draw the sword, and then you just it's okay. And then you like grabbing the girl. He's like, oh, okay. She was just worried about the kid.
Safe. Good.
And I'm just gonna be like, has Philip been taking care of you?
You answer me, Trev.
I swear to God.
Swear to me.
On my job as your mother, are
You want your head knocked into the wall again? Nebula's right outside.
No!
That was Galahad, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
You want a bomb strapped around your mouth?
Blasting powder in her mouth.
I'm just,
God.
I'm gonna look, I want to like look at Nebula and just wait for a divine sense at this point.
And he's gonna click his sword back, and he's like, would you two specifically try to not do that?
Together.
Like, at the same time?
Lance, that me.
So, would you just not do that? Hey Gilda, how's it hanging?
Fuck off. She goes back to hugging Margot and grabs a book and is like now reading a book over Margot's shoulder.
Margot is just gonna kind of like get up, like hair disheveled. She's gonna get up and like dust herself off and just be like, we have some business to finish taking care of. Not that I need to tell you, be safe, be smart, stab a person if they're coming at you very suspiciously.
She just kind of like...
I mean, like running into the room and tackling them.
Yeah.
I am her mother, I am not suspicious.
Alright, so...
Those two things are not mutually exclusive.
I was going to say, 3 out of every 10 abductions is by a parent. Sorry?
Is Margot getting up to leave the room? Is that what's happening?
Margot is gonna do like a very curt nod to Les and like just like to Nebula and like continue back towards the dining hall.
Okay. And Nebula's gonna look at Les Paul, like he's still pretty much standing at the doorway, just kind of waiting to see, like, so we good here?
I've got one job to owe to the service assembly, and I need to make sure I see it through. And as I like walk by him, I'm gonna get like maybe like just perpendicular to him and go bah, and then just like keep going.
I'm gonna. You know what? I want to say Nebula doesn't react, but I would allow that to be like a contested thing.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I'm gonna say Nebula, roll a d20 on a 15 or higher. You just use a reaction to like punch Les in the face.
Oh!
All right. It was almost a 20. It's an 8.
It's an 8. Okay, so you like instinctively like reach for your sword, and you're like, it's been a long day. I can do this. Just get some fucking sleep.
Did Margot see this? Can Margot see this?
Probably not. It would have been the two of them outside the door.
Because if they're still in my room, she'd want to escort them. She'd want to like.
They never came into your room. They were just in the hallway.
Yeah, it's in the hallway here.
Yeah.
Okay, because I thought.
No, they were passing each other in the hallway.
Okay.
Before this all ends, though, Nebula is going to like sheath that sword and poke his head in, like before the door gets shut, and he's gonna go, Hey, kiddo.
Margot's gonna
So we-
intently watch him talk to her daughter.
So we've done some stuff. Bad guys might be coming here. How you feel like a little science project? Maybe booby trap your room, cool defenses and stuff. I know you're pretty handy with that. So it would make us all sleep a little bit better knowing that you, I don't know, we're a little preemptive on that. So full permission. Philip said it's cool. Yeah, so like set your room up however you'd like with that option.
Margot's having an internal battle because it's technically her room, but she like can't be mad at the fact that he's one of the
So
protected.
Nebula,
Gilda
you
kills Philip with a booby trap.
Nebula, you've poked your head
Giant
in.
hands bound with a rope.
So this is the thing, Nebula. You've
This is
poked.
Home Alone.
You've poked
It
your
is
head
now.
in.
Hold on, no, though. Yeah, go ahead.
You've poked your head in, and you see at the mention of like booby trap the room, you're pretty good with chemicals and stuff. She just kind of like looks at you and just goes, and like very silently, a hand reaches underneath her pillow, and she just grabs something, and then underhand tosses the dagger across the room, and you just hear a impacts against the door, and then a whoosh, and a massive massive container of lead container of water drops from the ceiling over where the door opening is and narrowly misses your head. And as you kind of look in on the left, you see a whole pulley system has been rigged up with a trap that she is able to trigger by throwing a dagger across the room and missing the person who's coming into the room.
Hold on,
Sometimes I forget that Gilda was the enemy.
Yeah, no, right?
Where was
Gilda
I?
built
Did
a
I
mech,
see this?
guys.
Did I see this?
You were hugging her. You were like getting up to get away from the bed, and you kind of like looked back at her, and you saw her throw the knife, and then you look and you notice now that like very expertly rigged with pulleys and ropes and extremely heavy counterweights to allow this thing to rapidly accelerate downwards. Yeah, she's clearly set something up in the room.
At this point, Margot is just going to like grab her by the shoulders and just look her dead in the eyes and be like, "I'm so proud of you. Next time, please hit Nebula."
With the bucket or with the dagger?
Yes.
Your choice, preferably both at the same time.
Okay, well okay. We'll see.
And I look back and I go, yeah, no, love that. Next time, hit the target. Granted, I wasn't in here, love that, but have something as a backup. Okay, good. Also, I'll come by just to ask next time. I'll make sure that's holy water because we're dealing with demons. And he just walks out.
At this point, Margot, like, she like looks at Nebula, sees him leave, and just like looks at Gilda and just goes, "Technically, everything that he said isn't wrong."
Meanwhile, Margot's stuff is all covered in water and stuff.
And
Sorry, Philip.
and
I hate my life.
And at this point, Margot sees like the water, and she like takes a few two gold coins like out of her pouch and like puts them on her nightstand. She goes, "Next time Philip comes in, please tell them that that's his tip."
Okay. Can I go back to bed now?
Yes. I'm gonna get your dagger for you. I'll be right back. And she like grabs the dagger, like yanks it out of the intended target, and
So,
just like goes.
As you go to yank the dagger out and you're like making your way across the room and you reach towards the dagger, you just hear as it removes itself from the wooden boards, and you see her pulling it back with fishing line and just ripping it back towards herself, where she essentially has created a return dagger.
Little fucking nerd.
You didn't even need magic ones like mine.
At this, you're very smart. I appreciate you
I know.
dearly.
And then she just like it really starts to just fall onto the bed, and you can tell that she's exhausted. Clearly,
Real
she's put a
talk.
lot of work into this without telling anyone in the house today. So like, yeah, she's pretty tired.
Margot like steps over the puddle on the floor after leaving the 2 gold pieces on the nightstand, and like gently closes the door behind her, and just to herself, "I'm so proud of her."
Real talk though, it is completely plausible that Gilda is smarter than all of us.
Oh, no. I believe that it is canon that Gilda is smarter than all of us.
She has got it going on in the brains department.
She got a 20 in intelligence, bro.
Yeah, she's essentially an intelligence-based, what's it called?
Party pants.
Artificer. Yeah.
Because, like, my girl be in all those AP classes. Like, she was, like, the valedictorian. Like, she's...
Graduated from college at 15. So.
Oh, what are you reading? Go to Advanced Quantum Metaphysics and Paracausal Entities.
Wow, can you explain that to me? I know more than I know more than anything you'll ever know.
Yeah.
Okay, Gilda.
Okay, bye.
Any help, sir? I know more than you.
All right, so you guys making your way back towards the dining hall. Margot feeling pretty chuffed about how all that went. Les and Nebula, you kind of feel like things are a little on the okay side. But as you guys are starting to make your way out, Philip is coming down the stairs, and he just kind of gestures towards you. And if you could grab Juliana and the rest of your allies, the master will see you now.
As they all would have been away, I'd like to just munch on things and describe how they taste to Galahad. I'll just turn to him and be like,
I was with Nebula, but I appreciate that.
Oh, you were with Nebula?
I was right behind him. I just have not said anything. I've just been watching the whole time.
It was just you and Jules.
Ah, it's cool. I'll tell Jules anyway.
Jules is on the brink of a mental breakdown.
No.
Yeah, no, I just imagine Phelan's sitting to the right, chewing on some jerky, and he's just like, wow, the texture of this Juliana is very...
No, let him still tell it to Galahad, because he didn't realize Galahad left.
He's just so invested in his food that he looks over and sees a chair.
Jules sits up after a minute and is just like, he's not even here right now.
She's on the verge of a mental collapse, and he's talking about how good the roasted pheasant is.
To someone who is not in the
Salmon
room.
on croûte.
Jules is just sitting there, having a breakdown, and Phelan's just like, in many ways, the life is you want.
Oh, God.
What were you saying, Phelan?
I was going to say, in all seriousness, if it's just Jules and I, then I am going to take the moment to turn over and say, I get the affairs of family are hard, and I get that us meddling in them by trying to help might make them harder. I just hope that you know that family does come in many shapes, and I've learned that those you are born into are not usually the best. Well, I guess sometimes I can't for everyone, but I want you to know that you've built a name for yourself, and your worth does not just come from this family. We will, as long as we stay a group, I'm sure the rest of us will as well, but I know I will do everything I can to make sure that you are at a place that you feel comfortable with. If that means cutting contact with your family, then we will get ways to support you. And if it is continuing what we are doing now, we will also do that, no matter the ends, because you are not your family.
The problem isn't whether or not I want to cut ties. I do. I can't. I literally am magically bound to the family. I don't know how many times I have to say that. It pains me to kiss ass to my uncle. It pains me to be here. And everything that you're doing is making it harder.
Yes. I apologize for that. If there was a way for you to break that, would you take it?
Yes.
can't make any promises, but I have a few contacts in Rexingtrum that might be able to help, or at least I know that they'll be able to give us the best magical advice there is.
Thank you.
If you want me to ask around, I will do that. And I will try to keep the others at least sedated in the making it hard for you department.
I appreciate that. I really do, Phelan. Thank you.
So, what are bugbears for? Other than betrayals and eating your snacks and, I guess, trying to help. So it's fine. It's okay.
And at that point, you hear the thunk of the bucket of water dropping in the backside of the house.
Oh, poor.
Jules just looks towards the sound with pain. Pain in her eyes.
Philip, no! We could all just sit there and eat our snacks. It would have been great. It would have been great.
And Philip coming down the stairs, and you hear the announcement as Galahad is like pushing the door open a little bit to come inside that Zacharias is ready for all of you to see him upstairs in his study. So, all of you heading out, starting to make your way up the stairs, down the hallway. Philip standing at the edge of the door and pushes it open to allow all of you inside. And you see Zacharias at the massive marble table with that ridiculous photo of himself, bull by the horns, up above him. As he gestures for all of you to come inside and take a seat. You can see that the a small little brazier has been lit to just get a little bit of warmth inside the room.
What color is the brazier?
This one is kind of a lighter red-orange, traditional color of fire.
Alright.
No purple ones here. But he gestures towards into the room and, it is so good to see all of you. Please, come in. Take your seats.
I'm going to turn to Nebula and put my hand out. I got a gold.
I'm going to take a gold coin out and immediately hand that to him. I go, wait, hold on. Who did I disguise myself as first time I got here?
Who are you asking?
I'm asking the uncle.
Okay.
Oh, God.
I came in looking like another tiefling.
Oh, I legitimately, Jordy does not remember.
Yeah, it's when we first came in, I turned into a tiefling along with Jules, and he like called me out on it because he could see through it.
Oh, right, yeah.
And so I'm just like, who did I turn into last time I was here?
And he just kind of looks at you and, you, sir, were another tiefling, someone similar to my little niece over there. A bit of a different color.
Fine, it's him, and I give the gold coin over.
That was a fun test, but I am beyond this. Please, Philip told me that there's something interesting you wish to discuss with me.
And I look at Jules, and I go, do you want to, or can I, or...
I'll take it from here. And Jules will basically just tell him.
Okay.
All the
So,
stuff.
is there anything you want to leave out? Do you want to tell him about the journal, about the entities that you fought, about the room, the door with the skull on it? Is there anything you do not want to talk to him about?
If anyone went to the shitter.
Yeah, I'm keeping the Phelan shit out of that.
Okay. Yep.
Just like saying that and through our actions the Watchmaster has been informed that we made our way underground.
Shit.
Just out of character, is it not like super important that we say like, hey? This
Yeah, but
magical
also I don't
ball
want to make
is, like,
Phelan a target. We're tactfully trying to go about it.
If you don't say that out loud, if you... Nebula would hear you keep that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the door, kind of not fun. Once I touched it, I felt very compelled to go tell the Watchmaster everything. And he just twists the story.
Okay.
And Nebula will inform it, but coming from him.
Okay.
Of like, yeah. So it made me go tell. It was a very strange thing. Didn't like it. And mentally, I knew what had happened as soon as it was over. So I don't think he has the ability to do that long term. But don't touch the door, or we might get put to sleep and all that fun stuff.
Okay, so Jules, make a persuasion check. Nebula, make a deception check.
Oh, hell yeah.
Persuasion. Where did my... Oh, there's my dice.
And also, are
What's
you
the
giving him
stress?
the journal or just telling him about it?
I think for now, just telling him about it, unless he directly asks for the journal.
Yeah, it's more so for the initial check. That's just what I wanted to know.
14 plus
All right.
5 is a 19.
19, Nebula?
I have got an 8 on deception.
8 on deception, okay.
That's because I have a +6.
Damn, that's a shitty roll. Okay.
That's a terrible roll.
So, Jules, as you're explaining the story and discussing everything, you can see that his gaze goes from incredulity, there's no way this is real, right? She's talking about the Loch Ness Monster kind of shit, to, okay, that's a lot of things that are connecting in the same place. And then you mentioning the little shrub that you came up and out of only a couple hundred feet away from the entrance to the manor. And you can see that him kind of like looking off as if like almost looking in what is maybe that direction. And then getting to everything that you encountered under, down below, and you can see cogs kind of turning a little bit and matching things up of what these entities were. And do you mention, obviously you've mentioned Rakshasa to him before, because Nebula brought that up, and him just kind of tying everything together, seemingly having some kind of knowledge on this aspect.
Yep.
This is worrying. This is not something that should be spoken of outside of this room. Obviously, all of you have been made aware. Your story about wanting to tell the Watchmaster, he's not to be involved in this. He wants to run his own investigation. I want to keep this outside of the circle of law and order, as it were. But...
So I was flat out telling him I was the one who did it. Are you saying that? So I was trying to make sure that my story said that we told him because I had to.
Oh, sorry, I misunderstood. I thought you said that you felt a compulsion to do it, but you didn't.
No.
Okay,
Yeah,
you took it. Oh, okay,
and
you did it. Okay, good to know. Okay, so he just kind of looking at that and just
bringing the Watchmaster into this is not something that I wanted to have happen.
Which we attempted to avoid at all costs.
Technically, I didn't want to either. There was just a small window of time that it was like my main objective.
If there was the possibility to not do so, we would have gone about doing that. Unfortunately, Nebula was compelled.
Now, this book that you said you found, some pairs of letters, demons, devils, correct?
Yes. At this point, Jules will take out the notebook and hand it over to him.
just kind of takes the notebook and flips through and starts looking. And he just closes the notebook, and you can see that he's just kind of holding it under his chin for a second.
Oh, he's stressed.
What direction do you want to go with this? My task was to uncover what has been happening to my men. If this is the direction you believe that they have gone, I can tell you. HC, Hector Cochran, my smuggler, is the first one who disappeared. DW, Daxus Wiltram, the farm liaison, my man who was a courier of messages between the farms. This farm owner you mentioned, Darius Fenn, PH, NHFB. These names are unfamiliar to me. But I can at least confirm that these three are the ones who have gone missing.
Hey, can I ask you just a little bit of a question here, Uncle Fowler? So, if these people worked for you, we've already gone over this, their disappearances were problematic. But with that being a thing, how much could that affect you? In theory, a man of your stature is clearly going to have enemies. We don't even need to really go over that part. How much would these three being removed truly affect you? And what sort of standing are you with the Watchmaster?
Darius is nothing to do with me. A simple farm owner, had maybe spoken to the man once in my life. The other two, my liaison with the farmers, he can be replaced. That is not a difficult one. My procurement specialist, that one is a bit less common. That would be someone who would take some time to find a replacement for. The other two, I have no one in my employ, as far as I'm aware, who shares those initials. They would be of no consequence to me if they were to disappear tomorrow.
Or tonight.
As for the Watchmaster, he has been a splendid associate. Arrived in Felderwin a few years ago. Had a few ideas, expanded my business. Lately, a little bit less common, taking my counsel.
If you don't mind my asking, in what manner did the Watchmaster in particular expand your business?
He allowed me to get around some of the protections that the city has in place. Made sure that my shipments coming in did not draw additional scrutiny. But, as I said, things have been a bit different of late. Ever since his disappearances started, he has not exactly been taking as many of my calls, as it were.
How many years would you say he's been here?
He has been here better part of 3, 4, maybe 5 years. He's been quite some time, but he's only in the last 3 months, 3 maybe 4 months, that he has been a bit less willing to see me.
You know where his previous location of employment was?
He is a Watchmaster. He is one of the retired soldiers from the Dwendalian Empire military. I assume before here he was in Rexentrum. Our discussion said that he came from the east. No, from the west. Previously stationed in Rexentrum, did not take the pass down from Happaduk, but instead traveled much further to the west. If you are asking, and he kind of flips through and looking at the pages now, if this travel route is similar to his, I can say definitively it is not, based on what he has told me, of course.
Definitively it is not?
Correct.
Okay, unfortunate.
So, we've established potential bad guy here. At the very least, that alarm was synced up to that person.
Mm-hmm. That is worrying. One thing that I can say, as someone who is a bit of an expert on this myself, the man does not have any magical ability. At least to my knowledge. If this Rakshasa is in fact here, if I could offer a word of advice. And he gets up from behind the desk and walks across the room to the series of bookcases that are on the far side and starts flipping through a series of weighty tomes. Eventually pulls out one with a very devilish maw on the front of it, kind of a red-faced demon, series of sunken eyes, kind of glowing teeth almost, and begins flipping through it and pulls up eventually about a third of the way in or so, series of pages. Rakshasa are creatures of disguise. They are not always the thing that you think they are.
It's Philip.
Nebula actually, Nebula does look at Phelan at this point, as he has not actually done the whole divine sense thing in this instance.
And you can see that in that moment, him looking at this, because of the way that you had described this, Nebula, the eyes flash once again, and he weaves a series of hand symbols and looks, and I see your true form there, Nebula. It is not one of you. Your forms are true.
How had me stressing about my own true form.
But
Oh my god.
if the Watchmaster is afraid of these fealties, perhaps the form that you saw is not the true one. Or perhaps someone within my city has been masquerading as someone they are not. And that's going to be where we end the session this week.
No, Jordy, no! You can't do this to me.
I
God,
swear to
we
God,
The hunt for fealties continues.
if he gets me with a nice little hook that it's the fucking bartender or something, it's like,
Yeah.
So, a good little bit of intrigue to continue that one off.
Little bit.
Little bit. Lot of directions now. You're outside of those tunnels. You've got a re-entry path point, but it is currently turning in for the evening.
Shit. I ain't told the homies about that. Oh no.
What?
That I told them about like one of the spots. Oh no.
No.
Okay.
That's fine. You'll remember that. I will say, however, having concluded that discussion and with the assumption that all of you are going to sleep tonight and taking a long rest, welcome to level 5, everybody. You've successfully explored half of the underground tunnels. You came out of 2 pretty substantial fights, and you came out an interaction with a door that was very much designed to have an outcome. So, congratulations, guys. Milestone level 5 achieved.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah, baby.
So,
We're on the case, dang!
you've done a substantial amount since you got into the city. You explored quite a fair bit. You've got a lot of directions that you can go. This was designed as 2 to 3 level city, depending on how you take it. And this is halfway there.
Oh, it was all groundskeeper Willie down by the farm. It was him the whole time.
Oh my.
So, level 5 is a big one. We got multi-attack coming in for 2, 3 players. We got a second Eldritch Blast, I think, for Jules, right? You get that at level 5?
Pew pew.
Yeah, Margot, you got new spells. Phelan, you get big ups on level 5 as a rogue.
Yeah. Uncanny dodge in this motherfucker.
Yeah, getting those dex save, or getting the reduction on damage finally. Yeah, wouldn't that have been nice? So yeah,
I was ready. If something was going to hit you, I was ready, but nothing did.
You are freaking godsend. Love you, homie.
Now I can fully utilize Shield Master.
So
Right? Yeah, now you can get in.
I can choose more spells.
every sorcerer's dream. So thank you so much to everybody coming in tonight. We so appreciate all the raiders as well. Thank you to everybody coming in. Nat 30s rating like 10 minutes before we ended, but we so appreciate you guys coming in. Always. That's how it goes. We are going to be back here in 2 weeks for the next part of this, and again, try to figure out what direction you guys are going to go with now even more questions, but at least one answer. So that is an exciting one there. So thanks again so much to everybody in the chat. Thanks to you guys, my players. I'm so thankful every time we get together. It makes me so happy that I have the story that I get to tell through this awesome RP, and we get to have fun with it and not take our lives so seriously, which is so great. But yeah, for everybody there, stick around. We do have another session coming up on Saturday, right, Kev? Oh no, you're taking the...
No, Chromatic Dragon Saga is back. That was
right.
last Saturday.
That was last Saturday. Yeah, so Chromatic Dragon Saga is back. That'll be 4 o'clock-ish PST on Saturday, but we're going to be back with Phalai 2 weeks from now. Make sure you come back. The next one is going to be a good one, I promise. As you guys are, and I can give you a little bit of a, not a spoiler, but a spoiler, you are coming up on the Harvest Rise Festival, as something is coming to the city, and we're going to go from there. So,
what the fuck?
Yeah. It's the Harvest Rise. It's, as I said, kind of during the session, it's in the middle of spring. A lot of the harvests are starting to come in. A lot of them are starting to get sent out, so people are starting to get paid a little bit more. The city's going to put on a nice little festival, and you didn't know about it ahead of time?
Rise and harvest the population of the town. Right.
Yeah, the city's going to put on an alchemy circle and turn into a philosopher's stone.
Oh, we're getting full metal.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like there's a giant summoning circle underneath the city or anything, right?
Yeah.
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 What?
No.
What?
So good. So thanks again, chat. We love you guys so much. Yeah. So everybody, stay healthy, stay happy, wash your hands, wear a mask. We love you, and we will see you back here very soon. Bye, guys.
Bye.